technology are All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Ned Ghost Rider broadcast. I'm Ned Ghost Rider. Most people call me Ghost. Welcome in, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great May Day. Happy May Day, everybody. For those that don't know what May Day is, which most Americans don't, this is International Workers' Day. It is recognized by pretty much every country in the world except for the United States of fucking America. For those that don't know what May Day is, it's basically Labor Day, where the rest of the world celebrates Labor Day. There was a lot of protests going on. Time means nothing in Israel, probably. I don't know. Maybe. Probably not. I don't know. But we're going to learn about the Haymarket incident, which is one of the reasons why May Day is celebrated every year internationally in honor of the events that transpired where, you know, cops broke up a labor rally. Those are referring to two separate things. Yeah, I know. But I talked about it in my Labor Day video, and if you have never seen my history we're not taught about Labor Day, you should watch it. You should watch it because it was one of my favorite videos I made, and it was really interesting to learn about it and throw it together. I got a bunch of views the last 2 days on my latest video, and I'm not sure why, but yeah, go check out my labor history we're not taught Labor Day, because I do talk about the Haymarket riot. So but anyway, there have been big protests throughout the day, protesting the Trump administration, pushing for labor movement as well as protecting immigrants, because immigrants are part of the labor pool as well, and they deserve to be they deserve the same protections as anybody else, because universality is how you make sure that people get taken care of. So yeah, I have a couple things that are slightly outdated that I wanted to take a look at first. And then we will start going into the React content as far as like the Haymarket incident, and then go into healthcare a little bit with some healthcare reacts. And then we're going to have some fun. So without further ado, let me switch on over. All right, so first thing I want to talk about, I saw this on Blue Sky. This was during the Wisconsin election that Elon Musk basically single-handedly lost for the Trump administration, because nobody likes Elon Musk. Nobody likes him at all. Like, hate him with a fucking passion. Hate his privileged ass with a passion. But yeah, Elon says, when the United States was formed, there was only Secretary of State, Secretary of War, Secretary of Treasury, and Attorney General. That was it. If it were up to me, I would say let's make it like that again. Yeah, so this is what this dumbass is saying, that the government should only be made up of 4 fucking people.
You know, when the United States was formed, there were only, you had the Secretary of State, the Secretary of War, which I think is a more accurate name than Defense, but it was Secretary of War for a long time.
Dude, he's just stammering.
And you had the Secretary of the Treasury, and you had the Attorney General. That was it. And if it were entirely up to me, I'd be like, let's make it like that again.
He's just stammering because he's fucking lying.
You know, when the United States
Anyway. Someone quote tweeted and said, "Why do people think he's smart? This is ridiculous misinformation. When the United States was formed, there were also customs inspectors and postmasters and lighthouse keepers and judges and thousands of others. They made a government function." Is the ketamine? Yeah. You got one of them fancy French accents. But yeah, so I thought that was a funny thing to see. Also saw this one. Osita. I'm not gonna be able to pronounce this. Osita Nwanavevu, great journalist. Highly recommend following them. States, "This is from a woman in Oklahoma talking to her local news station is better than the vast majority of political speeches you hear today. Horrible story, but God bless this woman so accurately reading the ice goons for filth here." Marissa says she is left with nothing but questions. What if I would have been armed? And she said, "You're breaking in. What am I supposed to think? My initial thought was we were being robbed. That my daughters, being females, were being kidnapped. You have guns pointed in our faces. Can you just reprogram yourself and see us as humans, as women? A little bit of mercy. Care a little bit about your fellow human, about your fellow citizen, fellow resident. We bleed too. We work. We bleed just like anybody else bleeds. We're scared. You could see our faces that we were terrified. What makes you so much more worthy of your peace? What makes you so much more worthy of protecting your children? What makes you so much more worthy of your citizenship? What makes you more worthy of safety, of being given the right that they took from me to protect my daughters?" Fucking incredible wordsmith. Just so good. Also, I forgot to fill you all in on how my day went. I fell asleep on my chair again, and I woke up. I didn't fly today. I didn't clean the apartment today like I wanted to. But I went to work, and I made money, and yeah, that was that. That's all I did. But I hope everybody's having a good May 1st. I need to change the colors behind me. Give me a second. No, I don't want. No. That'll work. That'll work. Chat, what color should I do? Brown. Well, I don't think that works, Gecko. I don't think brown is a color that I have the ability to make on here. Because isn't brown like a mixture of all the colors? Or is that black? All right, so that's taken care of. Hot pink and lime green. Well, I already set the colors, so too bad. All right, so this was shared by Big Irish, but this was shared the day after tax day. So this isn't affecting you for doing last year's taxes, but will affect you in the future. And I'll talk about it as I read this article, but Trump administration plans to end the IRS direct file program for free tax filing, AP sources say. Trump administration plans to eliminate the IRS's direct file program, an electronic system for filing tax returns directly to the agency for free, according to two people familiar with the decision. The program developed during Joe Biden's presidency was credited by users with making tax filing easy, fast, and economical. But Republican lawmakers and commercial tax preparation companies complained it was a waste of taxpayer money because the free filing programs already exist, although they are hard to use, yes. The program had been in limbo since the start of the Trump administration as Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency have slashed their way through the federal government. Musk posted in February on his social media site that he had deleted 18F, a government agency that worked on technology projects such as DirectFile. There was some hope that Musk, with his Doge team and computer programs, could take over the DirectFile and improve it. But the two people familiar with the decision to end DirectFile said its future became clear when the IRS staff assigned to to the program were told in mid-March to stop working on its development for the 2026 filing season. 2 people were not authorized to publicly discuss the plans and spoke to the Associated Press on condition and anonymity. Treasury Department has not made a decision about the program's future, according to an official who was not authorized to discuss the matter publicly and spoke on condition and anonymity. Adam Rubin, a vice president at the liberal-leaning Economic Security Project, said the fix was in from the beginning. It's an outrage to see everyday taxpayers play no role in this decision. Cutting costs and saving money for families were just empty campaign promises. Have you seen the numbers on what Doge has cost so far? Like operating costs? Oh God, no, I did not see those numbers. I'm sure it's fucking ridiculous. But fun fact, chat, the only reason that you have to physically file your taxes is because of H&R Block. It's because of H&R Block. It's because of TurboTax lobbying the government to ensure that you have to file your taxes. What most other countries do is the other countries send you a tab and say, hey, we have you making approximately this amount of money this year. Is this correct? And if it's not correct, or if you're going to dispute it, then you file your taxes. Otherwise, you just sign it and then they give you your tax refund back. That's it. That's all it is. We can't do that in the United States. Just fucking bullshit. Fucking bullshit. Let's continue. But David Williams, president of Taxpayers Protection Alliance, which describes itself as a nonpartisan organization that disseminates research and analysis of the government's effects on the economy, said direct file was problematic from day one, citing the program's costs and noting that many people who started the process never finished. According to the IRS, 423,450 taxpayers logged into direct file on 140,803 submitted accepted returns in 2024. From hidden costs to taxpayer confusion, the program is riddled with issues. Oh my God. Yeah, that person is definitely doing bad faith. Because, like, I personally know a bunch of people. But, like, your tax preparers probably also use direct file. And it's okay to start filing on the IRS and then maybe realize it's a little too complicated for you and then going to somebody to do it for you. But you could also do it to kind of figure out where you're going to be before you file it with somebody. Direct file was rolled out as a pilot program in 2024 after the IRS was tasked with looking into how to create a direct file system as part of the money it received from the Inflation Reduction Act signed into law by Biden in 2022. Oh, I think this is different than what I used, because I used to file for free with the IRS when I was on the island, because that was super easy because it was foreign income. Last May, the agency announced that the program would be made permanent. But the IRS has faced intense blowback to direct file from private tax preparation companies that have made billions from charging people to use their software and have spent millions lobbying Congress. Dude, AP based. Associated Press fucking based. The average American typically spends about $140 preparing returns each year. I paid $400 for mine. But that was like 3 years worth of taxes. Derek Plummer, spokesman for the commercial tax preparation company Intuit, said in a statement, direct file is and has been a solution in search of a problem, a drain on critical IRS resources and wasted taxpayer dollars. Of course, they're going to say that. The IRS accepted 140,803 returns filed by taxpayers using direct file in 12 states. Where it was available last tax season, it was expanded to include half the country this year. It is unclear how many taxpayers have used direct file this year. This is also... I bet that most people didn't know that direct file existed. And this is also the for-profit tax preparers getting out in front of it before people realize that direct file is a thing. Amanda Renteria, CEO of Code for America, which works with the IRS, could create a state tax filing integration program for direct file, said the decision was a betrayal of public trust at precisely the time government should be demonstrating its ability to deliver basic services effectively. Senator Elizabeth Warren, a proponent of building out direct file, said in a statement that Trump and Musk are going after direct file because it stops giant tax prep companies from ripping taxpayers off for services that should be free. Americans want a free and easy way to file their taxes. Trump and Musk want to take that way. Yup. You know, even though I don't agree on a lot of shit with Elizabeth Warren, she's based more often than not. But when she's not, she's...
Thanks very much.
I remembered that Bernie put out a video. So I would like to watch that. Before we get into the May Day stuff.
This is...
If that's all right with y'all. Okay. All right. Let's watch Uncle Bernie. Let's watch Uncle Bernie go off and have some super bass takes.
For joining me. These are unprecedented moments in modern American history, and we have got to respond in unprecedented ways and together. That is exactly what we're doing. Our grassroots political
Get water, I'll be
revolution
back.
is aggressively taking on Trump and the oligarchy, and we are making real progress. Over the last 8 weeks, I've been to 11 states: Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, California, Utah, Idaho, and Montana, held 17 rallies, and I've spoken to over 250,000 people. Most of these rallies were held in districts that are represented by Republican members of Congress. Interestingly, many of the people who showed up at these rallies were independents or Republicans and not just Democrats. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez accompanied me at the most recent fighting oligarchy events, and
These are the rallies that, you know, Bernie's been bringing 20 to 30,000 people to and holding them in fucking red states and shit like that. And they're selling out, not selling out, but they're filling entire venues for this shit. Maybe a certain party that is trying to resist fascism, maybe they should start listening to the people that are putting up these rallies.
she did a fantastic job. We are continuing to hit the road. This time I'll be going to Pennsylvania. On Thursday, I'll be doing a May Day celebration with Pennsylvania trade unionists in Philadelphia. On Friday, we'll be in Harrisburg for an evening event, and on Saturday morning, we'll be in Lehigh Valley. Congressman Chris Deluzio will be joining us for these events. If any of you live in these communities, please drop by. We would love to see you there. But it's not just about the rallies that we're focusing on. As important as they are, please understand that we are not just parachuting into communities and then walking away. We're doing much more than that. We are working hard to build a sustainable, progressive, grassroots infrastructure, mostly focusing now on marginal congressional districts that have Republican members of Congress. We have already hired local organizers in Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Michigan, with more to come. These organizers are putting together grassroots coalitions with great success. They have already organized well-attended meetings where community members come.
Yeah, this is great that they're using these rallies to start organizing people to organize some kind of resistance to the fascism that we're experiencing every single day. And on top of that, allowing potential people to join unions at these rallies or get together and be like, hey, let's form a union and shit like that.
Come together to discuss local concerns. Over 400 folks were out in Michigan last week, and over 300 attended a meeting in Wisconsin. They are also organizing door-to-door canvassing, setting up phone banks, and engaging in social media. Bottom line here, we are not going to let the Republican representatives who prefer to hide from their constituents escape their responsibilities. Short term, as many of you know, there's a so-called reconciliation bill coming before Congress in the not too distant future. This horrific Trump legislation would provide $1 trillion in tax breaks for the 1% while making massive cuts to Medicaid, nutrition, housing, and other programs that working families desperately need. This bill has got to be defeated, and our efforts are putting pressure on vulnerable Republicans to vote no. Longer term, we want to see Republicans in these districts defeated in 2026 and Democrats regaining control over the House. If we can accomplish that, we'll be taking a giant step forward in stopping Trump's destructive agenda. Further, as many of you may know, and this is long-term thinking, we've just issued a call for progressives.
I mean, it's very hopeful. Hi, Prodigy Son. It's very hopeful to get control of the House back and potentially control of the Senate. I heard somebody say that, I think Carter said there's a high chance that Dems get the House and the Senate. And I'm not positive on that one. Hi, Becca. I'd have to look at the races. Yeah. So Maine, North Carolina, Georgia, Michigan are toss-ups. I don't know where they would pick up seats. Maybe Ohio. But they have to win all these other spots. Which toss-ups you could think, toss-ups you could kind of think that they'll probably go to Democrats as long as Democrats don't fuck it up. But we all know how Democrats fuck everything up. Definitely not going to get Florida. Definitely not West Virginia. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to get both the House and the Senate. Putting in a demo and Democrats, yeah. Demolition? No, I know what you meant. I know what you... Keko, when you explain the joke, it's not funny. Demon rats.
Throughout the country to run for office, from school board to city council to state legislature to the United States Congress. The response has been extraordinary. Over 5,000 people from virtually every state in the country have expressed an interest in getting involved politically.
No, I just think chat's dumb. God damn it. Why is my moderators calling chat dumb? That's my job. My job is to call chat dumb. Anyway, that's really cool that this many people have responded to that call for action to run for office and run for political positions. I have mentioned that I have thought about it. But yeah, your Beccasaur chat is everyone as a whole. Last I checked, I am chat. Yes, Becca is chat. When I say chat, I'm specifically talking about Becca.
Some are interested in running as progressive Democrats, others as independents. We'll be doing a Zoom call with many of them this Wednesday evening in order to begin providing them with the guidance that new candidates often require. If you are interested in the possibility of running for office yourself, please go to berniesanders.com/run. That's berniesanders.com/run, and you can get information as to how you can proceed. Not surprisingly, the establishment has taken note of what we are doing. Republicans, including Trump and Musk, tried to downplay the size of our rallies. According to Musk,
Chat, here it is. Here's the webpage. I'm just thinking, learn about running for office. I'm definitely interested in running within the next few years. I'm a current candidate with an election this year or next. I'm not interested in running, but I want to support other progressives to run for office. What type of office are you interested in running for? Local, state legislature, statewide office, federal? Would you want to run as a Democrat or an independent? Yeah. So if you're interested in running for office, feel free to go to this page, berniesanders.com/run. I might fill it out. We'll see. Zoom, 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 zoom.
those who attended were mostly paid organizers. Really? That's quite true.
I fucking love Bernie. I love Bernie so much.
While members of the Democratic establishment have occasionally applauded our efforts on the road, a number of them and their corporate media friends are becoming increasingly nervous about the progress we're making. And you may have heard some of this recently in newspapers or radio or TV or in social media. These establishment figures are exclaiming that progressives shouldn't be taken too seriously, that we as progressives are too far left, we are extreme, we are out of touch with American society. None of these establishment critiques are.
Chat, they edited the video like this because most people are going to consume it watching it on their phone. So I'm sure they like tweeted it out and stuff like that too. I'm extreme. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. I'm extreme. I'm the most extreme.
New. I've heard them for a long, long time, but they are worth discussing. So let me take a minute to do that. According to these establishment politicians, analysts, media pundits, and wealthy campaign contributors, the future of the Democratic Party lies in moderation. We shouldn't be rocking the boat. We shouldn't be bringing forth bold ideas to address the crises facing working families. We shouldn't be.
Chat, the Democratic Party has been moderate since fucking Ronald Reagan. And now we have become further right than Ronald Reagan. How is that fucking moderation?
Talking about oligarchy, about one guy owning more wealth than the bottom 53% of American households. Can't talk about that. We shouldn't be talking about massive income and wealth inequality and the reality that the top 1% now owns more wealth than the bottom 90%. We shouldn't be talking about the unprecedented concentration of corporate ownership that exists and that a handful of large Wall Street firms are the major stockholders in virtually every large corporation in America. We shouldn't be talking about the need to grow the trade union movement so that workers can negotiate for decent wages and benefits. And let us never talk about a corrupt campaign finance system that allows
you
billionaires in
can't
both
talk about
parties
that.
to control the political and legislative process. Oh, and of course, we shouldn't be talking about corporate control over the.
So this Fight the Oligarchy movement, as well as this video, makes it seem like Bernie is trying to create a hostile takeover of the Democratic Party, which I'm all for, considering the Democratic Party is fucking useless and can't fucking do anything. Not only can they not do anything, which I'm pretty sure that's their whole goal, is to do nothing so that their corporate benefactors continue to make a fuck ton of money. But we need to go back to being the party of FDR and doing big, bold, progressive policies that take care of working class people. Because if you're not taking care of working class people, you're just going to fucking end up allowing people to become reactionary and go down this far right rabbit hole and become Nazis. And then a lot of people are going to suffer because of that. And that's where we're at. Because the Democratic Party decided to go with corporate interests since Ronald Reagan.
Media. According to these leaders of the Democratic establishment, the path forward, get ready for this, is to continue doing exactly what they have been doing for the last 10 years. In other words, tell the world how bad Donald Trump is while continuing to defend a rigged and corrupt economic and political system that makes the rich richer while working families fall further and further behind. Well, we disagree with that approach. Of course, we will continue to work with Democrats and anybody else to help lead the way in exposing Trump's pathological lying, his kleptocratic behavior, which enriches himself and his family, his disastrous economic policies, which benefit the rich at the expense of everyone else, his authoritarianism and his contempt for the Constitution, his foreign policy, which is alienating us from longtime friends and allies. We will continue to do that and more. But that is not enough. From one end of our country to the other, in red states, blue states, purple states, working.
I mean, I get your point, but is Bernie perfect? No way. I saw him not cover his nose one time when he sneezed. He basically started COVID with that sneeze. So he's the same as all the other politicians. Every centrist argument on Reddit. Yeah, 100%. That's because centrists aren't fucking centrist. Bernie Sanders is legitimately a actual centrist. Dude, these people that want literally everything to be fucking perfect, that every minority needs to be a perfect victim, like Palestinians aren't perfect victims and everything like that. They're all fucking horrible people. They don't give a shit about human suffering and everything like that. They are the same people that are for every single civil rights movement and social movement after it happens, but they're not for the current one. They were against every war that happened in the past, but not against the current war. Those are the fucking people. Bernie's voice is ASMR. My eyes are so heavy.
Families, young people, seniors, the poor, people of color, people in cities, and people in rural America.
If they fight back, they deserve what they got. I hate that shit too. Yeah.
And Americans of all stripes are desperately.
So what? You're supposed to sit there and just fucking take it? Just take a beating from. You're supposed to take a beating from Israel? As Israel continues to fucking assassinate all of your leaders and fucking wipe out your people? You're supposed to just take it? You're supposed to just let cops fucking throw tear gas in your face and let cops beat the living shit out of your fellow working class people? Beat the shit out of your neighbors, which their job is to protect you, and they're violently attacking you? Leftists are held to insane standards. Can't make a single mistake. Can't own a smartphone or anything. But if you're a right wing, you can have Nazi tattoos and throw out the Sig Heils and people excuse it. Oh yeah, 100%. So like, that was literally in the CIA documents to try to break up leftist movements and infiltrate leftist movements and try to delay leftist movements. They literally said like, be like nuanced in a discussion or something like that. Be like, oh, I don't like the way that's worded. And then you just kind of keep doing it and be like, oh, it's actually like not including this sect of people and stuff like that. Right? Because America would exist in its current state if the colony sat there and took it. Yeah, exactly, Becca. That's a great example I bring up all the time. Even though technically the American Revolution was a bourgeoisie revolution. It wasn't a true like liberation revolution for like working class people, which are most revolutions. But it was more of a bourgeoisie where the revolution was done for like business purposes of the founding fathers and shit. But the other hilarious part is those same idiots that will love the revolution and everything like that. Those same idiots that will love the revolution and everything like that will say, oh, they did it because they hated paying taxes. They hated paying taxes. No, the revolution was sparked because they were taxed without representation. That's what it was. It was the fact that they were pissed that they didn't have any representation in Britain to say, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't tax the colonists. But people love to talk about civil rights figures during their peaceful moments. I have a dream speech, for example, or how diplomatic and kind Nelson Mandela was during his presidency, but they hate bringing up the riots when Mandela bombed government buildings. We can't bring that up, apparently. Also, Mandela was, I said this yesterday, but Mandela was literally told twice to denounce the violence that the ANC did and also denounce communism and socialism, and he would have got out of jail. And twice, Nelson Mandela said no. Also, I just saw this speech on Hassan's stream. Nelson Mandela spoke in Palestine and said, you work as hard as possible to conduct peace until there is a point where violence is the only option, and then you turn to violence for liberation or something like that. I was like, what the fuck? Why are we not talking about this? Also, Ghost, at the end of Martin Luther King's life, he started seeing that Malcolm X might have been correct as far as like militancy for African Americans' rights in the United States. It absolutely was, but it's a good example for people who don't get the point of fighting against bigger powers currently. Yeah. Or Winnie Mandela, one of the most feared women.
Looking for a new and bold vision for America's future. The status quo is not working and cannot and should not be defended. Let me repeat that. The status quo is not working and cannot and should not be defended. Simply stated, in the richest country in the history of the world, where
Winnie Mandela was fucked up, though. She necklaced a kid because she thought he was a spy. Nelson Mandela left her because she was so fucking extreme. Damn.
our productive capabilities are exploding with new technologies. Every man, woman, and child in our country can and should have a decent standard of living. This is not radical utopian thinking. This is not far left. This is what we can and should be achieving. This is what we should be fighting for. What is radical and unthinkable is that in the year 2025, in the United States of America, 60% of our people live paycheck to paycheck. And we have some of the highest rates of childhood and senior poverty of any major country on earth. What is radical is that we have more income and wealth inequality than we've ever had before. And unbelievably, one man owns more wealth than the bottom 53% of households. What is radical is that we are the only major country not to guarantee health care for
Bernie.
all as
Speak.
a human right or have paid family and medical leave. What is radical is that 800,000 of our fellow Americans are homeless and that over 20 million households spend over half of their limited incomes for housing. What is radical is that we are spending close to $1 trillion a year on the military and many billions in weaponry for an extremist Netanyahu government in Israel that has waged a horrific, illegal, and immoral war against the people of Gaza. What is radical is that our democracy is being undermined not just by Donald Trump, but by billionaire campaign contributors and a corrupt campaign finance system. The American people desperately want this country to move forward in a new direction, economically, politically, socially, and environmentally. Just as a matter of fact, a recent survey found that 3/4 of Americans believe the American political and economic system need major changes.
Major changes.
So to our establishment friends in the Democratic Party, no, we will not maintain the status quo.
Yes, I fucking
We
love that,
will
Bernie.
not shrink from big ideas. We are
love that.
prepared to take on the big money interests who dominate our society. And we know that the American people are with us in that fight. And we should be enormously proud that we are helping to shape that path. But let us be clear. The road forward will not be easy. We are taking on the oligarchs and their unlimited wealth. We're taking on corporate America and the media that they own. We're taking on Donald Trump and the Republican Party. And we're taking on the fossilized section of the Democratic Party, which cannot shake loose from their top-down politics, their wealthy campaign donors, and their super PACs. In this pivotal moment in American and world history, when the stakes are so high for our country and the entire planet, we should not underestimate the difficult challenges that we face. But that should not make us pessimistic. If we stand together, we have the power to create a government and an economy that works for all of us, not just a handful of billionaires.
Yep.
As Nelson Mandela, one of the great liberation
Ooh.
leaders in modern history,
I like it.
reminded us, quote, "It always seems impossible until it is done," end quote. Let's do it.
Oh, I
Thank you
fucking
very
love
much.
Bernie. I fucking love Bernie. Bernie! Bernie!
He is back. Bernie Sanders, the
On.
Multinational corporations.
Oh, damn. Yo, Bernie has entered the race.
Oh, no, this is
Did you hear his list of
this is what I wanted.
To come to the aid of the middle class of this country.
Bernie?
Bernie! 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 Also, if they say that Bernie Sanders policies aren't fucking popular, this is the donation map right here from Bernie Sanders during the 2020 primary. Most of the country, he literally covered donations from pretty much all of the country, from everywhere. It was so pronounced that when they showed it in the New York Times, they literally had to take Bernie off the map because he was overtaking all of the other candidates in small money donations. Bernie being fucked over during the primary with Hillary's all-time fumble by the Democrats? Yeah. Yeah, and then him getting fucked over again in 2020 after Biden won South Carolina, after Bernie just fucking mopped the floor with all of them in Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada. That's fucking horrific as well. Dude, it's just... Before the 2020 election, as a history nerd, let Bernie cook. I know. That's what I'm saying. But if you let Bernie cook, then Democrats aren't going to get their funding from the billionaires. During the 2020 election, I was super familiar with FDR and the progress he made with the New Deal, as well as the environment that was developing at that time leading into the 1932 election. Fascism was on the rise. They had a Nazi rally in Madison Square Garden. I think the rally was 1934 though. I'm just double checking. It was 1939. Okay. It was 1939. But that doesn't happen by accident. That doesn't happen by accident. Fascism was on the fucking rise. Working class people and organized labor pushed hard for FDR to get elected. And not only did they push hard, they held him to account to make sure that he would do everything he said he was going to do and take care of working class people. The entire reason that every president since FDR has been comparing their first 100 days is because FDR did so much shit in his first 100 days that is a incredible thing to compare yourself to. The problem is you get dumbasses like Donald Trump doing fascist shit in his first 100 days that doesn't actually help anybody except for billionaires. And billionaires are getting fucked over by him too with the tariff shit. And then you have Trump lying constantly about his achievements during the first 100 days, as well as everybody in his administration claiming that they've done incredible things and that prices have gone down. No, they fucking haven't. Prices have not come down. Egg prices have returned to where they were right as the avian flu started happening at the end of last year. It's still fucking expensive. He said he was going to reduce grocery prices day one. He said he was going to end the Russian-Ukrainian war day one. He said he was going to end the Israeli bombardment of Palestinians on day one. What else did he say he was going to do? He said a bunch of shit day one he was going to do. We are on day 101 right now. We're on day 101, and he has not done any of that shit. He hasn't done shit. Why is he not held accountable? Like, what the fuck? But yeah. So, all right. To switch gears a little bit into May Day, with the protests that were going on, we are going to look at Democracy Now! Speaking about it. There were dozens and dozens of protests that occurred today, protesting the Donald Trump administration, poor labor practices, as well as any games this evening. Maybe, but we're gonna do some React content first. We'll see if we can get through it. I just found out there's a 25-mile march for Palestine here Saturday. I'm gonna see if they still need volunteers. That's fucking awesome, Becca. That's great. But yeah, I'm gonna start this video and I have to pee really bad. So I'm gonna start the video and then I will be right back.
Is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman in New York, joined by Democracy Now!'s Juan Gonzalez in Chicago. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to all of our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.
Today marks 100 days since President Trump returned to the White House. Multiple polls show his approval rating after 100 days is lower than any president in 80 years. Ahead of his 100th day, Trump signed 3 new executive orders, including one targeting sanctuary cities. The order instructs Attorney General Pam Bondi to pursue, quote, all necessary legal remedies and enforcement measures, unquote, against state and local jurisdictions who refuse to assist with Trump's mass deportation plans. A second order further militarizes local police departments and seeks to punish local officials who, quote, unlawfully prohibit law enforcement officers from carrying out duties, unquote. It also provides legal resources to officers accused of abuses. A third executive order requires professional truck drivers to be proficient in English. This comes as outrage grows over Trump's sweeping anti-immigrant crackdown. On Friday, the Trump administration deported to Honduras 3 U.S. citizen children, including a 4-year-old boy who's actively receiving treatment for a rare form of stage 4 cancer. The boy was removed with his 7-year-old sister who's also a U.S. citizen, and their mother. In a separate case, the U.S. removed a 2-year-old U.S. citizen along with her.
The injustices of deporting U.S. citizens, children, and they're arguing saying, oh, well, the mothers signed off and said that I want my child deported with me. It's such scummy bullshit that they're trying to pass this off that it is a good thing to deport children who are U.S. citizens. It is so scummy and so slimy, kind of like me running in the ad at the top of every hour. Because at the top of every hour, I have to run a 3-minute ad to avoid pre-roll ads for any new viewers. If you want to avoid the ads, you can pay $5.99 for a subscription, or get lucky and get gifted a sub, or you can link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account and get a free monthly subscription from Daddy Bezos to your favorite streamer. Hopefully that's me. If it's not me, hopefully it's Ghost or Super Loops or Keko. But here comes the 3-minute ad break now. They abducted the mom, no access to lawyer, can't even call their dad, and agree to take them in. And then she signs off. Yep. That's it, Prodigy. They basically force her, don't give them any time to make arrangements so that their child is taken care of, and force them to sign. I don't stream anymore. My kid is taking all my time. No energy for streaming. No problem, Ghost. That's fair. 9 out of 10. Thanks, Esco.
Her mother. The Trump administration also continues to refuse court orders to bring home Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Maryland father who was mistakenly flown to El Salvador by the Department of Justice's own admission on March 15th. Over the weekend, ICE conducted a number of high-profile immigration raids. In Florida, ICE worked with local officials to detain nearly 800 people. Meanwhile, in Colorado Springs, ICE agents raided a nightclub and made over 100 arrests. Immigrant rights groups across the country are
Fucking criminal, but I'm not surprised. Bald-ass Czar said he was going to do that before the election. Yeah. MS Paint photo altering of his hand is fucking hilarious. It's not even Photoshop, it's MS Paint. Yeah. We talked about it yesterday when we reacted to his interview. Super Loops, I hope you were wearing sunscreen in the sun. Also, you touched grass. Who in our community touches grass? I do. I caddy. It's my job. I touch a lot of grass.
We're planning major May Day protests for Thursday. We begin today's show with 2 guests helping to plan the May Day protests. Here in New York, Nisha Tabassum, the lead organizer
touch the
for
clouds
worker
too.
Issues at Make the Road New.
Technically, I'm not allowed to touch the clouds, Prodigy son. I know people say that toddlers always listen to you and go to bed when you tell them to and never cry to get fussy, but that weirdly hasn't been my experience. Well, you just need to train them better, Ghost. You gotta crack the whip. Ka-cha! Did you get the grass's consent? No. Fuck that. Nah, I'm on my incel arc. I don't like consent. Consent is bad. If I'm getting consent, I don't want to do it.
New York, an immigrant rights and advocacy group. And in Chicago, we're joined by Jorge Mujica, the strategic organizer for Arise Chicago.
This isn't the place for me by.
Immigrant workers.
Grab him by a root.
One of the lead organizers of the May Day protests in Chicago. Jorge, before we talk about those major protests.
They do say that, yeah, toddlers tend to be some of the most compliant individuals around. Yeah, this is the opposite day today.
On Thursday. Can you go to these executive orders and respond to what President Trump did very significantly on this eve of the 100th
I'm up for grabbing roops, you're
he's
saying?
back in office? And interestingly, as his polls across the board are tanking, including how he's dealing with immigrants.
Good morning, Amy. Thank you for having us here. These are smoke screens. President Trump has signed 157, I think, executive orders related to immigration. It is not possible to even start complying with the legal ones. Forget about challenging the illegal ones. It's just a continuous circus. He will be issuing orders and more orders, even if they don't make any kind of sense. The federal government cannot mandate a local police department to do anything or to not do anything. The city of Chicago is a municipality completely free to decide what exactly their police does. So I don't think we have to pay a whole lot more attention.
Hello, on the show Love on the Spectrum, the one guy said he wants to know if the girl he's going on a date with has children because he wants to mentally prepare himself for poorly trained children. Oh, wow. He's oh God. He's basically accusing the woman of being a bad mother before he even goes on a date with him. That's not good. Hi, Micah. Show the video of Congress being too cowardly to vote for deporting American kids, but won't say it. Wait, what? I missed that, Super Loops. Very true. My toddler is just being weird. You watch too many podcasts.
To this kind of crazy executive orders.
And Jorge, could you talk about the protests that are planned not only for May Day but for the following days? Chicago, back in 2006, you were part of the organizers of the first immigrant rights protest, and it was really Chicago that set the whole nation off on a series of protests that stunned the country back then.
That's right, and I think we took the lead again. Back in January, we started meeting because there were several calls by several people, mostly social media personalities, saying that we should have a day without immigrants here and there. And we decided that we should concentrate in one particular day, one particular date, to really be able to get everybody together.
Give me 2 seconds to get out to my car. I'll send it on Insta. No problem, Super Loops.
Trump administration miscalculated completely. Instead of attacking only one community as they did in 2006, they
Who told ghost toddlers listen? Prodigy son. I'm the oldest in my family. I'm the oldest in my family. I helped raise my brother and sister and my cousins. They all listen to me. And if they didn't, they face some consequences.
We are attacking everybody at the same time. And that enabled us to gather a really broad coalition with labor unions, with federal workers, with students, with teachers at universities, and every other community, and put together this event on May Day. May Day was born in Chicago, and we recovered May Day for history because it had been completely forgotten. Everybody thought it was a foreign celebration. But it's May Day, Chicago. This is the origin of May Day. So we decided to march on this day.
I'm the oldest, and none of those fuckers listen to me.
Actions on the following day.
Sounds like a problem, Micah.
On Friday,
you got to put your foot down.
May 2nd, students are going to walk out their colleges.
Watching my younger sister, I was able to efficiently distract her. Nice.
And we are promoting a no margaritas and no guacamole weekend. You know, we cannot have a society celebrating a Cinco de Mayo without Mexicans. If they want their Cinco de Mayo, they have to want Mexicans in this town and this city.
Oh.
So we are putting together this series of events over the
That's
weekend,
cool.
starting on May Day, Thursday.
And
that's cool. I like that. No guacamole. No margaritas for the weekend for Cinco de Mayo. You can't celebrate Cinco de Mayo without any Mexicans, even though Mexico doesn't really give a shit about Cinco de Mayo. I couldn't hit my small sister, but I had some creative punishment, like rolling her in a blanket. She loved that. Like it's a game, yeah. Or give him the old red Foreman and put your foot up. She called it croissant. Croissant?
Could you talk about what is being planned for New York City?
Yeah, thank you so much, Jorge. You know, we're living in a moment where we're seeing unprecedented attacks on unions and workers in this country. We're seeing corporate takeovers of our federal government. We're seeing companies and billionaires exploiting workers for their own gain. And so right now we are joining, Make the Road is joining over 50 unions and advocacy groups and immigrant rights groups to come together on May 1st at 5 p.m. at Foley Square to demand that we need to stand back and fight. We need to fight this corporate takeover. We are the many.
I'm the oldest by only 13 months. All three of us were in high school at the same time, so we're all very close in age. Damn. That's kind of nice. I was the oldest by like 7 years, so they all pretty much listen to me now. Cause like I tell them, I'm like, hey, I'm the old one. You're supposed to learn from my mistakes. So if I'm telling you something, you should probably listen a little bit.
They are the few. It's time to stand back and fight. So really encouraging everyone to come join us, come march with us. As you've already stated, May Day is rooted in resistance, and this is a moment that we all need to come together to fight against these federal cuts, to fight against the attacks on all different kinds of workers, especially immigrant workers.
And Jorge, I wanted to go back to you for a second. You've also talked about Arise Chicago is also targeting certain corporations for consumer boycotts. Could you talk about that as well?
That's correct. We
were all making the same mistakes at the same time. Got an ultra emote. I'm the youngest, unsurprisingly. I wish I could say I'm unsurprised. I honestly, I felt like it was maybe an only child. Only child. That's what I was thinking, Beck. I didn't know that you had siblings.
The Consejo de Resistencia y Defensa del Inmigrante, that's the right denomination. We are targeting 3 major stores. We are targeting Walmart.
I'm fucking insulted. Take it back. I gave you my opinion. You don't like my opinion? Actually, you being the youngest, that actually makes a lot more sense. Now that I think about it a little bit. That is so rude. How's it rude? You didn't even know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. I'm an only child. No. I was an only child for 7 years, so I get it.
We are targeting Target and McDonald's mostly because of their complying with Donald Trump orders to do away with minority hiring and affirmative actions, and also 2 particular brands.
It explains a lot. Wow.
In the Mexican community.
See, like Becca, I could sit there and be like, oh my God, how could you say that? That's so rude. But like, I don't know if you're saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I said you were an only child. I didn't say if it, I thought you were an only child because one, you didn't really talk about siblings. And yeah, I didn't say it was a good thing or a bad thing. Arise Chicagoland. That's right. That's right, Otto. We're talking about Chicago today on Happy May Day. Also, Happy May Day, everybody that wasn't at the beginning of the stream. Happy May Day, everyone.
And the Latino community, and those are Goya products and Miller beer, because they are sponsors of the Republican Party, because they donated money to Donald Trump. So we decided to go ahead and
having
stop
nephews
buying these products, and we will be promoting.
I don't remember you saying having nephews. You're a liar. Am I? Am I a liar?
That boycott over the May Day weekend too.
We're also joined by Georgia Flowers Lee, National Education Association Vice President for United Teachers Los Angeles, has been an educator for over 20 years. As we mark this
only child of a covert, vulnerable narcissist. It's a special breed of lonely. Oh, also Super Loops, the Advent church thing that you mentioned earlier. There's one, I pass one literally every day. I pass one literally every day on my way to work. It is like it's like 2 minutes down the road from me.
100th day of President Trump's term. He has signed I don't know how many executive orders, both around immigration, most recently on the eve of this day, yesterday, and also around DEI, around diversity, equity, and inclusion. If you can talk about why you're going to be out in the streets on Thursday and what your gravest concerns are right now. Interestingly, overall, with these polls tanking, you may be well representing the majority of people in this country, Georgia.
Good morning, Amy. Thank you for having me. Yeah, we're going to be out in the streets on May Day, along with a broad coalition of
Pretty decent sized church and wealthy, tall and wealthy.
advocacy groups, of immigrant rights groups, because the attacks that are coming are targeting our children, targeting our immigrant families. It seems as if it's a move to destroy the foundation on which our democracy is built. All the cuts that are coming out of the Department of Education, what that is going to do to our students, particularly our students who are most marginalized, or students with exceptional needs, or students who begin life with challenges. What happens to those students? And we are keeping our eye on the move to privatize public education, which we all acknowledge is the foundation of democracy. It's what gives us an opportunity.
But Georgia, did you think that maybe the people in power don't want the population to be educated? To realize that they're being exploited?
Without public education, kids who start off behind the ball are simply not going to have a chance. So we feel it is our absolute moral obligation to stand up to fight for students and for families, particularly our immigrant families.
Your bill will deport more kids who are American citizens.
We had just a couple of weeks ago, the Department of Homeland Security tried.
Thing sent on Instagram. We don't need no education. That's right. Oh no, I'm leaking the DMs. I'm leaking the DMs. Super.
Your bill will deport more kids who are American citizens with cancer.
No one saying anything? Republicans voting for a bill to be able to deport American children, include children with cancer.
Silence is deafening. It tells us everything we need.
Would the gentleman yield?
Yes.
Let's do it a different way. How about this? Raise your hand if you do not think children with cancer who are American citizens should be deported.
But they're the family party. Cowardly Science won't own it.
Your bill will deport more kids who are American citizens with cancer.
I'm watching it again because I'm not positive. Back so soon?
I don't
Yeah.
think they want to answer that.
The silence is deafening. It tells us everything we need.
Would the gentleman yield?
Yes.
Let's do it a different way. How about this? Raise your hand if you do not think children with cancer who are American citizens should be deported.
So zero Republicans raised their hand? Zero Republicans raised their hand so that they wouldn't feel the ire of Trump? Oh my God. They voted this through, passed it, and won't answer these questions? Oh my fucking God. Deport cancer, make America healthy again. I saw someone talking about how the funniest part about the Make America Healthy Again is that none of it is including Medicare for all. None of it is including health care for everybody. None of it. Fucking pathetic cowards, yeah. Deport cancer is crazy. No, you deport cancer so that you can't pass the cancer on to other people because everybody knows that's how cancer is passed to other people.
Try to invade two of our elementary schools and take students out. Luckily, the staff at that school...
What do you expect for an anti-vaxxer minister of health? Hey, he's not even a minister of health. He's just a secretary of health. Health and Human Services. Hey, he also endorsed the MMR vaccine. I will point out he endorsed the MMR vaccine, which is a vaccine that causes autism, according to him. Who doesn't believe germs exist? Oh, yeah, that's another thing, too. The plan is to do less testing, so less diagnosis means less sickness, right? Right? Yeah. No, that's literally, that was the Trump policy, is don't do so much testing, because then we won't know how many people are actually sick. The numbers won't go up. RFK Jr. says healthcare isn't the same kind of right as a free speech. Oh, God. Well, they only want certain people to be healthy. Yeah, white people.
At those schools.
Also, chat, fun fact, Elon Musk and the entire Trump administration is complaining about birth rates falling. And birth rates are not falling, but white birth rates are falling. So that's the birth rates that they care about. And they're trying to pay you off $5,000 to have a kid when on average it costs like 30 grand to have the child. They're trying to pay you $5 grand to have a child that costs 30 grand just to give birth to the child. I'm not having kids. Let me remove the equipment. Elon Musk breeding fetish. Yeah. And it's not a breeding fetish. It's a eugenics thing. Elon is very, very deep into eugenics. That's why they keep talking about like birthing rates and shit like that. His breeding fetish is because his belief in eugenics. Fucking Nazis, chat. Nazis. Very happy to have no uterus. We don't have the technology for Idaho to put one in me to make me have another kid. That's not good enough, Super Loops. That's not good enough. They will find a way to force you to have a child. Yes, Elon, let's all look like a fridge. Did you hear about Elon's dick? Yeah, didn't he like have a surgery where he was trying to insert like a vibrator into his cock? But like, why would you want a vibrator in your cock? Does that mean that he's bad in bed and he needs the extra help from the vibrator for anybody that sleeps with him? An enlargement going on? See, I've heard vibrator. If I end up wanting a kid, I'll adopt. I heard it was a vibrator. I didn't hear it was an enlargement. Although kids are IVF, most of them are. Most of them are. He literally just sends his cum in a jar to somebody. That's what he did with this Ashley. Was it Ashley Sinclair was her name? Zuck probably got mechanical banana.
Were able to defend and
I don't think Zuck has
it
kids.
from happening. But imagine how terrifying that is for our students and for the families who entrust their students, who entrust their children to our care. So we see this as a moral imperative for us to stand up, to stand in coalition with others, and to push back against what is happening. And so we'll be out there on May Day, but we will also be out there on May 17th. We are mobilizing with other teachers' unions across the metropolitan LA area to show.
Vibrator doesn't sound too far off if he's trying to make himself a robot. Don't go around using jar cum, people.
Show up, and we are showing up at SpaceX, and we are letting the folks, the folks who are controlling the levers of power, know that we are taking our power back. We are not ceding anything, and we think it is absolutely our moral obligation to do so.
And Georgia Flowers Lee, could you talk about the response of the...
He's not alone. Small club of wealthy white people having as many kids as possible and making their kids written plans for having lots of kids. Yeah, it's eugenics. It's a eugenics thing, Super Loops. It's eugenics, and it's also they know that the system's going to fail if the birth rates fall. Is eugenics that also specifically have a ton of kids thing club? Yeah. Everything I've learned about him has been against my will. I'm sorry, Becca. Not quite Quiverfell, but like atheist Quiverfell. I don't know that reference.
Public school districts in California to the recent announcement, the Department of Education, that all school districts have to certify that they're not involved with any kind of what the government calls discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, or they'll face cutoffs of Title I money?
Across the board, we are saying no. The California Department of Education has said no. or state affiliate, the California Teachers Association, has said no. Diversity is or
My next job might be playing Elon's Path of Exile 2 account would be a nice job. Do you think he actually pays them like a decent amount of money?
strength. We want inclusion. Inclusion means we all get an opportunity. We all get to be involved.
I'd
We
assume.
all get to participate.
No, billionaires don't pay good money. Like Donald Trump is notorious for not paying his contractors who did work on his real estate projects. Like he would refuse to pay them. They would sue his ass and then they would settle in court, which would be less, or they would settle prior to the trial for less than what he was supposed to pay them. I love how his daughter trolls him about the game. Yeah. No, that interview with Hassan, it was great. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
And equity simply means that, that we are trying to level the playing field. So we are absolutely saying no to it. And my district, the LA Unified School District, I believe has already responded and said, this is not something that we are going to comply with.
Oh, Robert Reich.
And so
he's awesome.
Across the board, we are saying this is not acceptable to us, and we are not complying with it because we see it for what it is.
Nisha, I wanted to go to an issue here in New York. Last week, a judge.
My kid's ex-stepmother ran an Elon fan page on X. She would regularly add him. He never responded. She was so awful. It was a little nightmare. Oh my God, that's awful. So I will let you all know, back in the day, I did like Elon, and then I started realizing that he wasn't that smart. But I also own a Tesla. There's an explanation. When I left the island, I wanted an EV because I tend to fall asleep at the wheel. So I wanted an EV to force myself to stop every couple hours. And Tesla at the time had the best range. It had the best range of all the EVs. And I knew I wasn't going to get a house to be able to charge it when I needed to. So that's why I went with the Tesla. And now I'm driving a swastika car and I'm not fucking proud of it. I literally don't have the money to be able to buy a new car. And I also charge at work for free most of the time. So that saves me a few $100s a month. I wanted one too. Glad I couldn't afford one. Now, I will say the car is built by Americans in America, but they're not unionized, but they will be unionized at some point, despite everything that... I hate Tesla. I hate Elon Musk. Tesla are union busters, and Elon Musk fucking hates unions, but they will be unionized at some point. The only person I knew besides now you with a Tesla would turn on auto and drink White Claws while driving us around. He was shit. I have a hybrid. Yeah, hybrids are kind of the way they should have went instead of going all electric. But yeah, I have the self-driving, which helps me limit the fatigue that I get when driving. So I pay attention when I'm using the self-driving because it has accelerated at red lights.
Judge temporarily halted.
I would love for the union to take Tesla out from under the idiot. Yeah. But also, apparently there was rumors that the Tesla board was exploring options to remove Elon as CEO. But I think Elon has put it in his contracts as CEO and stuff that they probably can't do it.
Efforts by Mayor Eric Adams to reopen an ICE office inside the Rikers Island jail complex. Adams first signaled the move after he met with Trump's so-called border.
Cal, I do have a question. Has a union ever successfully taken a company away from its board members? I'm curious. I don't drive those gosh darn toy cars, only gas cars like a real man. Them woke people preventing us from drilling the oil. Fun fact, chat. Donald Trump keeps saying drill, baby, drill. And actually, the oil companies and everything are telling him, no, we don't want to drill more because that would drop prices and not be profitable for us anymore.
Border czar Tom Homan.
U.S. Steel and U.S. Copper? Really? I didn't know that about U.S. Steel.
in February. At the time, the New York Civil Liberties Union slammed Adams' administration for selling out New Yorkers for Trump's dangerous deportation regime. The group said in a statement, quote, ICE's presence on Rikers serves no legitimate purpose, opens the door to
U.S. Steel for a long time was run by the union. Oh, but are they not? So they're not still run by the union? So when did that change then?
lawful collusion between local law enforcement and federal immigration officials in violation of our city's well-established sanctuary protections. New Yorkers see this for what it is. Mayor Adams skirting the city.
No, it was sold, I want to say, by Reagan or Nixon. Wait. Why did... So Reagan and Nixon forced the sell of U.S. Steel? Did the union workers at least get that money or no?
Council cozying up to Trump and putting New Yorkers, immigrant New Yorkers, in harm's way, the group said. And we all know about the Trump administration dropping the charges against Mayor.
Okay, I have to go. Happy stream. You're all wonderful. Thank you, Super Loops. Have a good one. Have a good night.
Eric Adams, which many people called a quid pro quo for him then doing their bidding around immigration. If you can respond to what Eric Adams is pushing for, what the judge has stopped.
Yeah.
Oh, I found it. Not sure if you know a Japanese country is trying to buy U.S. Steel and get rid of the union. Of course. I just saw it. The federal government intervened to try to take control of U.S. Steel. In 1952, President Harry S. Truman attempted to take over the company's steel mills to resolve a crisis with its union, the United Steelworkers of America. The Supreme Court blocked the takeover by ruling that the president did not have the constitutional authority to seize the mills. President John F. Kennedy was more successful in 1962 when he pressured the steel industry into reversing price increases that Kennedy considered dangerously inflationary. Kennedy forced the union to settle for less pay. And the steel was charging more money, claiming that it was the rise in pay for the union workers, which is bullshit. In the early days of the Reagan administration, steel firms won substantial tax breaks in order to compete with imported goods, but instead of modernizing the mills, steel companies shifted capital out of steel and into more profitable areas. In March 1982, U.S. Steel took its concessions and paid $1.4 billion cash and $4.7 billion in loans for Marathon Oil, saving approximately $500 million in taxes through the merger. The architect of tax concessions to steel firms, Senator Arlen Specter, complained that we go out on a limb in Congress and we feel that they should be putting it in steel. The events are the subject of the U.S. Steel song by folk singer Anne Freeney. Not sure if you know Japanese. Yeah. My grandpa was a mechanic for U.S. Copper Works, and my grandma was a secretary at the union office. That's fucking dope. The federal government prevented U.S. Steel from acquiring National Steel. The political pressure from the United States Congress, as well as the United Steelworkers, forced the company to abandon the plans to import British Steel Corporation slabs. U.S. Steel finally acquired National Steel's assets in 2003 after National Steel went bankrupt. As part of a diversification plan, U.S. Steel acquired Marathon Oil, yada, 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 reorganized to USX Corporation. 22,000 USX employees stopped work on August 1st, 1986 after the United Steelworkers of America and the company could not agree on new employee contract terms. This was characterized by the company as a strike and by the union as a lockout. This resulted in most USX facilities becoming idle until February 1st, 1987, seriously degrading the steel division's market share. A compromise was brokered and accepted by the union membership on January 31st, 1987. On February 4th, 1987, 3 days after the agreement had been reached to end the work stoppage, USX announced that 4 USX plants would remain closed permanently, eliminating 3,500 union jobs. In late 86, corporate raider Carl Icahn launched a hostile takeover of the steel giant in the midst of the work stoppage. He conducted separate negotiations with the union and with management and proceeded to have proxy battles with shareholders and management. But he abandoned all efforts to buy out the company on January 8th, 1987, a few weeks before the union employees returned to work. By the late 20th century, U.S. Steel earned most of its revenue from energy operations. Attempted Legal issues. I didn't see the specifics, but I guess I didn't look that closely.
Thank you for that question. You know, luckily we live in a city that has a really strong city council that has passed really strong immigrant protections in New York City. The city council has sued to stop the Adams administration executive order from allowing ICE on Rikers, and there's a temporary restraining order. And I think this shows us that, like, we really need our state leadership to take strong action to protect immigrant communities and workers and families in New York. You know, Make the Road New York, along with labor unions and other immigrant groups, are pushing for New York for All, which is a law that would prevent cooperation between local law enforcement and federal immigration authorities. No one should have their rights be different based on where they live, right? The goal of New York for All is to standardize these strong immigrant protections across the state, not just in New York City. We have county executives in Nassau, Long Island, you know, collaborating with the federal government willingly to have detectives cooperating with ICE. And this would prevent that, right? This is the time where we actually really need our state leaders to step up and incorporate protections and standardize protections across the board, not just in New York City. Your rights should not be different based on where you live.
All right, so these are the activists that we're talking about doing May Day protest. This is a protest that was held in Philadelphia. This was posted a few hours ago.
7 demonstrators are marching in Center City as part of a nationwide May Day rally in opposition of the Trump administration's recent policies. Thank you for joining us. I'm Fred Shropshire. U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders led today's May Day rally in Philadelphia, drawing huge crowds at City Hall. Sanders made the stop as part
Bernard
of the
Sanders, baby
tour, and he sent a message not just to President Trump, but also to his Democratic colleagues.
And here is the bottom line, and I say that to my Democratic colleagues in the Congress. Stop defending the status quo economically.
Oh, I fucking love Angry Bernie. I love Angry Bernie.
An economy in which the rich get richer and working people struggle should not be defended.
The crowd then started making its way through Center City starting just after 5:30. NBC 10's Aaron Baskerville has been following the march. He joins us now from Broad and Race Streets.
Oh, yeah.
The latest, Aaron, a lot going on behind you.
Showing people getting arrested.
Yeah, a lot going on,
it's great.
Fred, right now. Things kind of took a little bit of a turn. Some of the protesters got a warning twice to vacate so they can open up Broad and Vine, and you can see some are now being put in zip ties and being led away over to a bus that's over there. We've seen at least 2 others being put in zip ties. So as you can see back over here, there's a line of officers here. I'm going to see if somebody will talk to us and see if she'll say anything to us about what's going on right now. Do you have anything to say? No?
Solidarity.
Was it
solidarity? I love it.
To make a stand like this?
Solidarity forever.
So
wow.
Right there, solidarity forever.
Holy shit.
A lot of workers and protesters were out here starting at 4 o'clock or so.
So also, chat, you need to remember local news are corporations. Local news are corporations, so they like busting unions and making unions look bad. So this is what this person is doing. This is what a producer is saying in his ear. He's telling this person to do this.
Fighting back against the...
And then the producers are told by their bosses, which their bosses are the ones that own the fucking... NBC owns the TV station.
The Trump administration fighting back against the wealthy billionaires, sticking up for workers and things like that. So just follow me back over here. Sorry, we're just trying to navigate through some of the area. Back over here is where a lot of the protesters, about 50 or 60 or so, are sitting right now. About 30 minutes ago, I can tell you that some of the protesters said, if you're not sitting with us, you guys can go home or either go to the sidewalk where others are right now. So just follow me through over here so we can give you a better view of what's happening. So obviously there's a lot of officers here. There's a bike line. This is where all the demonstrators and protesters have been sitting.
So there's a bike line there, so they're not even going to let them leave. If they want to leave. Like, what the fuck?
And trying to get their message across. And obviously they do not want to leave. They're going to stay here until they're put in zip ties and led away. So right now, at my last count, there was about 50 or 60 folks that are sitting down. I don't know if all of them are going to be taken away in custody, but this is the turn that just happened just as you were coming to me live right now. There's another one over here, Mark, being led away back to the bus. Of course, later on, we'll try and get official numbers for you as to how many decided to stay here, take that stand, and be led away in zip ties. But that's the latest right now. Obviously, the scene just took a turn here. They have some of the gates back over there. They did not want these demonstrators and protesters to get on to 676. So they had gates in this area blocked off. They did that since about 3:30 or so this afternoon.
All right, so that's an example of a protest that was happening within Philadelphia. And of course, the local news is painting them like fucking troublemakers and shit, and not, listening to their cries and saying that billionaires shouldn't be running everything. But anyway, let's go into why May Day is actually celebrated every year. Is for those that have watched my History We're Not Taught video about Labor Day, some of y'all may remember the Haymarket Square incident, known as the Haymarket Square riot, because they gotta paint it bad. But we're going to listen to the history of that day and why it's celebrated internationally as International Workers' Day.
On May 4th, 1886, workers were peacefully protesting outside a factory in Chicago at Haymarket Square when police arrived en masse to shut it down. And then out of the darkness and explosion, a bomb was thrown that killed several officers and injured many more. Police fired back and chaos ensued. This riot shook the entire international workers movement and led to greater challenges for workers trying to secure basic rights across America. But what led those workers to gather that day and for someone to toss a bomb? Well, that's the treasure we're out to discover. I'm Dan Luer, and this is History for Humans.
I thought about watching my own video, but I thought that would be cringe. So I found this History for Humans.
All right, guys, we're going to jump right into it today. And our exploration for today's story lecture is what caused workers to protest at Haymarket Square, and what impact did the riot have on the fight for workers' rights in America? So keep your mind focused on that question as we go through the story. But first, shovels out, because we got some history to dig up. So remember from our last episode, after the Civil War, America was in the Gilded Age and was rapidly industrializing. The switch to the industrial economy caused...
Chat, the Gilded Age was a bunch of rich people had all the money in the world, and they made everybody else fucking work for them for literally pennies.
More changes in 50 years than it probably had in the previous few thousand years of human history, and with great change follows great conflict. One of the main changes was the working conditions for men and women. Remember, before industrialization, most people were farmers or skilled artisans who had pride in their work and were often essential parts of their communities. They were mostly independent and worked according to their own rules. And though they surely worked hard and many still struggled to make ends meet, industrialization would demean and belittle these workers in almost every important way. With the rise of machines and factories, skilled labor, and this is important, was replaced by unskilled labor. Being unskilled...
There's no such thing as unskilled labor. Unskilled labor, like I shared on my Instagram story, is a capitalist myth. Is a capitalist myth to justify slave wages for employees. There's no such thing as unskilled labor. all labor is skilled. All labor creates value.
Meant that these workers could be poorly paid, poorly treated, and easily replaced, because at the same time, there was a flood of immigrants arriving in America looking for work. And that's the focus of our next story, so make sure to check that out. Industrialization led to workers doing the same monotonous tasks over and over again as things like the assembly line were perfected. This monotony, the sheer drudgery of work, might have been the worst part for these workers. If you've ever watched the classic Wizard of Oz, the Tin Man represented the industrial worker, and what was he missing? A heart, symbolizing that he became a soulless machine himself, not even human. On top of the drudgery, other problems included that it was incredibly unsafe. Work injuries and even death was common. America led the world with industrial work fatalities, with about 35,000 workers dying on the job each year. Worker pay was incredibly low and the hours were incredibly long. Many worked between 60 and 80 hours a week and still just barely got by. Widespread poverty also led to the rampant use of child labor across the country. And it was these factors that led the workers to gather that night at Haymarket Square. Although the so-called riot took place on May 4th, the protest really began on May 1st, May Day. It was part of a national protest and strike by tens of thousands of workers demanding, most importantly, an 8-hour workday. A strike was simply when workers
8 hours of labor. Sorry, let's go back to it. 8 hours of labor, 8 hours of recreation, 8 hours of rest. That's where the 8 hours, 8-hour workday came from.
National protest and strike by tens of thousands of workers demanding, most importantly, an 8-hour workday. A strike was simply when workers refused to work, hoping to cost the managers and owners enough lost profits that they would sit down and negotiate with the workers and give in to some of their demands. So workers from all different industries participated. Railroad workers, miners, textile and Pullman workers, and in Chicago, close to Haymarket Square, workers at the McCormick Reaper Works that produced farm equipment were there protesting as well. It began with a massive parade and it had a festive atmosphere, but the factory owners continued to ignore their demands and did their best to break the strike. They attempted to hire strikebreakers, or so-called scabs, to replace the striking workers outside. Eventually, violence broke out. The police fired on and killed a worker and several others were injured.
The scabs were crossing the picket line and the union members refused to allow them to cross the picket line. And the police just started opening fire on the crowd.
Mass meeting was then called on the night of the 4th to protest the police shooting and continue the fight for workers' rights, something that unions across the country had been attempting for decades. Now, a union is simply a collection of workers who come together to push for better working conditions. With rapid industrialization and worsening work conditions, the need for unions increased at this time, but were still considered illegal and not recognized by the law or business owners. The Knights of Labor began in 1869. Unlike other unions, they tried to include all wage earners. They allowed in skilled and unskilled, male and female, and even African Americans. They were much more radical than other unions and went beyond simply demanding better working conditions, but wanted to reform the whole capitalist and political system in America. They wanted limits on immigration.
What do you mean, but? What do you mean, but? And it included all wage earners. Literally everybody that earns a wage and creates value for somebody. That's not a bad thing to have them in a union. Like, reform American capitalism is making sure that their labor is no longer exploited.
To stop them from competing with American workers, and restrictions on child labor as well. By 1886, they grew to have 750.
No, they didn't want to limit immigration. They wanted to document immigrants so that companies couldn't pay them less to drop the workers' wages.
1,000 members, but were still not legally recognized. Then there was the American Federation of
Also, I love how the end child labor was a radical thing back then.
Labor, a union that's still around today. The AFL differed greatly from the Knights of Labor. Led by Samuel Gompers, a Jewish immigrant to America who worked from a young age with his father making cigars, and he later led a cigar makers union. Gomper's AFL embraced American capitalism and did not advocate for a radical change. Instead, they simply wanted more pay, more benefits, and more safety protections and shorter hours. They also let in less people. The AFL only let in skilled workers, but they brought together carpenters, masons, hat makers, bricklayers, and even cigar makers into one big union with over 500,000 members. And that brings us to
dad jokes in history.
Why did the
Escal, we'll see if you like
railroad
this.
workers try to join the Knights of Labor? Why? Because the AFL said they weren't properly trained. Wow. And we're back.
Did you like that one, Escal? Did you like that one?
Another famous labor hero was Mary Mother Jones. Mother Jones organized for the Knights of Labor and was considered the most dangerous woman in America, and was later called the grandmother of all alligators on the floors of the Senate, a title that I hope she held in pride. Losing her husband and 4 children to yellow fever and having her dress shop destroyed by the Great Chicago Fire, she became a fearless defender of poor workers and led many strikes and campaigns to secure dignity to workers, and eventually helped to found an even more radical union, the Industrialized Workers of the World. Looking at some of the stark photographs of workers from the time, if you try to put yourself into their shoes, or for some, bare feet, you can probably imagine why so many of them wanted to form unions as a means to fight for better working conditions. And maybe even why some of them called for drastic changes, because some of those radicals had gathered to protest on May 4th in Haymarket Square in a call for revenge, and someone was assembling dynamite for the occasion.
Okay. So this flyer was only sent to a couple people, a handful of people, working men to arms. This was only sent to a little bit, but they literally said, no, we can't say that stuff. This entire Haymarket gathering was peaceful the whole time, which he'll get into, until the final speaker, who was wrapping things up. And then the cops moved in. And then at that point, someone had thrown a bomb.
One was assembling dynamite for the occasion. Following the killing of the worker at the McCormick factory, workers held a second mass meeting on the 4th. There were songs and speeches at the rally and a couple thousand people in attendance. The atmosphere was tense and many of the higher-ups feared violence. Even the mayor had attended to keep an eye on things, but headed home early, satisfied with the peaceful showing. When the last speaker, Samuel Fielden, an anarchist, began to speak, though, the weather darkened. The rain fell harder and harder. And
okay, I hate that the thing to do nowadays is to say, oh, they're anarchists, meaning like they're obviously going to say bad shit. No, anarchists just want to go straight to communism. Anarchists want to go straight to communism with no in between. That's what an anarchist is. There is also a definition of anarchy, which is lack of authority, but anarchists also believe in order without a hierarchy, which is why the anarchist symbol is an A within a circle. But a lot of people will draw the A protruding outside the circle because they don't know what what the actual anarchist symbol is.
Some began to leave. He was concluding his speech when a police squad marched towards the protesters. Sent in because of Fielden's supposedly inflammatory remarks, they ordered him to stop.
I love how he said it supposedly. What did he say? Talk about what he said. Talk about what he said under oath. I talked about this in my video.
Speaking, and for the crowd to disperse. That's when someone in the darkness with a homemade bomb ignited the fuse and threw it towards the officers. The fuse sputtered, jaws dropped, and then it exploded. 7 police officers died and dozens of others were injured. Violence erupted in the chaos, gunfire in all directions as the police shot into the crowd and shots were fired back. 4 more were killed and more than 70 wounded. In 5 minutes, the square was empty except the fallen. But who had thrown the bomb, killed these officers, and was responsible for the bloodshed? No one knew, but intense public outrage and the whole might of the Chicago police force were going to make someone pay for it and get some revenge of their own. The murder of the police and the resulting chaos turned public opinion, the press, and the government against not just those preaching violence, but anyone holding radical beliefs that preached revolution, including the Knights of Labor. Eventually, 8 anarchists were put on trial for the murder of the police, and the judge and jury were obviously biased against them and cared not for providing a fair trial. Samuel Fielden, the speaker, was one of those on trial, and he was one of several immigrants, all of whom were anarchists. Several of them were not even at the...
Again, anarchists want to go straight to communism. I hate that anarchists are literally used as a pejorative. It's so frustrating. My fucking God, that boss was annoying cunt at the end. Well, did you get through it, BiteSync? I was lurking. I had you on the other screen.
Rally when the bomb exploded, and no real evidence was presented to really show that they were responsible. But they were all found guilty by the hostile judge and jury for what came down to holding un-American beliefs. 7 of the 8 were sentenced to hang for the supposed crimes.
Their crime was holding un-American beliefs. But anyway, free speech. We have free speech in the United States.
When the first 4 were sent to the gallows, they walked with white robes and sang Marseille, which was the anarchist anthem. One shouted just before the floor dropped, "The time will come when our silence will be more powerful than the voices you strangled today." And they hung. The others were eventually pardoned when a new governor sought to restore some semblance of justice to the affair. Almost immediately after, a statue went up to honor the policemen who were killed at the site.
No way. Of course you're going to honor the people that are protecting Capitol. Of course you're going to fucking do that.
In Haymarket Square. But years later, as more Americans reconsidered the event and the fight for workers' rights and the injustice of the trial, a new monument was put up at the cemetery where the anarchists were buried to honor what they had been fighting for. And aside from the 4 who were executed...
Dude, this guy's such a centrist. He's such a fucking centrist, not like, just like, oh, maybe they were in the wrong, but like, maybe they weren't in the wrong. Like, he does a pretty good job, but like, it's kind of frustrating that he's like siding with the cops who literally started the entire sect of violence, which the only reason the cops were there were because of the Capitol owners sicking the cops on them. We should watch your vid instead of this, nerd. No, y'all can watch the vid on your own.
Ultimate demise due to the Haymarket riot. Falsely seen as responsible and equally guilty, the union fell apart. However, the AFL and many other smaller unions continued the fight for workers' rights in the 8-hour day without the nights. Over the course of many decades, the labor movement eventually helped to secure so many things that we take for granted today. The 40-hour work week, worker protection laws, an end to child labor, a 2-day weekend, and of course, Labor Day. So remember, when you're celebrating that day, it's not just about barbecues and a break from school or work.
Talk about why Labor Day's in September and not May Day.
Because in that
I feel like 8-hour workday is a scam too. It's a scam nowadays. Because I know people that commute 2 hours. Yeah.
Honor their struggles,
and
their triumphs.
It's really 10 hours. It's actually 12 hours. It's 12 hours because it's 4 hours of driving. Because it's 2 hours there, 2 hours back. Unless you're saying in total 2 hours commuting.
And hopefully find some gratitude for the history that they left us and a responsibility to uphold it. So thanks for engaging in some history today. This has been History for Humans. Hey, thanks so much for watching the episode.
Okay, I don't mind this guy, but like, I do kind of mind him. I don't know, chat. I think it's fine, but this is literally how history was taught to me growing up. It's just so like whitewashed and not like talking about like the individual shit. It's just kind of annoying. Yeah, 10 to 12. Yeah, I took a smaller example hour there. Here's a generic vibe, the generic channel. Like, oh, hey guys, in today's video. Yeah.
Labor Day.
Okay. We'll watch a little bit of this. We'll watch a little bit of this.
Have you ever wondered why there is a random holiday in September? Ever wonder what led to this 3-day weekend being established? Did the government decide to create a
Again, this is before I was on.
If you ever ask these questions, I hope to satisfy.
This is before I was on camera.
If you didn't, thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something.
I might cringe a little bit.
Central Labor Union held its
I don't wonder, it's just a thing.
September 5th, 1882, and the second a year later on September 5th, 1883. By 1894, 23 more states adopted the holiday. Records indicate two different men proposed a general holiday for the laboring class to honor those from labor movements of the past who fought for the improved working conditions, wages, and shortened working hours. One man, Peter J. McGuire, was...
God, please tell me that my current videos are so much better than this. Please tell me my current videos are way better than this.
Secretary of the Brotherhood of Carpenters and Joiners, as well as a co-founder of the American Federation of Labor. The other man thought to have created the holiday was Matthew McGuire, who is believed to have...
Did anybody have a healthy hairline back then? No.
Central Labor Union.
Fun fact, this guy is 24 years old. He's 24 and that's his hairline. Your new video is much better, thank you.
It is believed September was likely chosen because it falls halfway between July 4th and Thanksgiving holidays. The history of labor in the United States hasn't exactly been sunshine and rainbow.
Oh God, that was such a bad audio transition. Started the boss at 224 mark and took me till 305. Holy shit. 24 in that economy is 54, yeah.
Turns out the rich and powerful don't like when workers organize and fight for their fair share. The business owners would send private agencies like Pinkertons to break up organizers, usually violently. When that wouldn't succeed, good old Uncle Sam would do it. Whether it be police officers dispersing striking workers, the armed forces being ordered to break up labor rallies, or the Supreme Court ruling against labor unions regularly. In 1827, journeyman tailors from Philadelphia protested several colleagues getting fired by going on strike. The employees were fired because they demanded higher wages from their employer. After their picketing, the business owner took them to court. The theory backing the claim was the striking workers' actions constituted conspiracy to harm commerce.
Okay, let me go to the fucking Haymarket one thing.
Leaders. A crowd of men, women, and children tried blocking them, protesting the presence of troops in support of the strikers. The militia responded with a bayonet charge. This action provoked the crowd into throwing rocks at the troops. In response, the troops opened fire on the unarmed group of men, women, and children. At least 20 died, including one woman and 3 small children. 29 others were wounded. Other workers from cities and towns in Pennsylvania joined in solidarity with the striking workers with general strikes, mass demonstrations, and sometimes violent confrontations, though not as violent as in Pittsburgh. July 26 saw regulars of the U.S. Army and the state militia take control of the city and reopen railroads in Pittsburgh and the surrounding area. The strike was broken similarly throughout the country. In October 1884, Federation had organized...
Oh, here it is.
Police fired into the crowd. August
Oh, here it is.
testified.
Yeah, this is
A
it.
group of workers surged at the strikers, organized by their union, or they would not succeed. The strike had remained nonviolent until the end of the work.
Oh, here it is.
On May 3rd, August spies spoke to a swath of striking workers outside McCormick Harvesting Machine Company plant, advising them to hold together, stand by their union, or they would not succeed. The strike had remained nonviolent until the end of the workday bell. A group of workers surged at the strikers. Organizers called for calm, but police fired into the crowd. August spies testified, I knew from experience...
Oh my God, I just saw a typo. Fuck.
Butchering of people was done for the express purpose of defeating the 8-hour movement. A rally was called the next day to protest the use of police force. 1,300 to 1,400 labor activists gathered in Haymarket Square. The city was on edge after the incident at McCormick plant the day before. The mayor of Chicago, Carter Harrison, made his presence known to the speakers of the rally by lighting cigars several times throughout the rally. Harrison later testified the speeches at Haymarket were tamed by the standards of the time. Harrison left early, feeling his presence wasn't needed. Around 10:30 p.m., Samuel Fielding was the final speaker and told the crowd his remarks would be brief. With a fraction of the crowd left because the rally was winding down, Inspector John Bonfield decided to assemble 175 police officers without explanation. Bonfield's second-in-command, Captain William Ward, ordered, in the name of the state of Illinois, the meeting to disperse immediately and peaceably. In Fielding's testimony, he claimed he had less than a minute remaining in his speech. He also responded to Captain Ward at the time with, "Why, Captain, this is a peaceable meeting." The captain angrily repeated his orders. Eyewitnesses disagree exactly what happened next, but a bomb was thrown amongst the police. Shrapnel was sent through the ranks of the police.
Okay, that was like one of my favorite parts of editing this.
Understandably terrified, police initiated shooting in every direction. Most of the wounded police officers were from bullets, likely some from their own colleagues.
What's up, Willie? How are you doing today, Nick? Oh, I just worked today, so I got income. Income was good, but we're learning about the entire reason that today is International Workers' Day, known as May Day, and how every country in the world recognizes May Day as a Labor Day, but the United States doesn't acknowledge it, only acknowledges it in September. We love income. Yeah, income's nice.
When they were again being attacked by the police, the remaining crowd volleyed gunfire back. 7 police officers and at least 4 workers were killed. Some police died from their wounds days later, and an 8th police officer died 2 years later from complications from the riot. Grover Cleveland was the U.S.
Also, funny story about that is when the bomb went off, it's believed that most of the cops actually shot each other. That most of the cops being wounded were actually from friendly fire, which is literally the one of the leading cause of deaths of police officers. I would have never known. Yeah. But anyway, chat, take a look at this video. This is the history of Labor Day. History we're not taught. For Labor Day in the United States. And it talks about the Haymarket incident, which is the reason that we celebrate Labor Day and why the United States recognizes Labor Day in September rather than May. My current videos are significantly better than this, which I thought this video was pretty good when I uploaded it, but I'm realizing it's not quite as good. But yeah. So please go check that out if you'd like to learn more on it. It's a highly entertaining video. I enjoyed watching it. You evolved? Yeah. I evolved, but unfortunately, I still have to run top of the hour ad breaks because the top of every hour, I run a 3-minute ad. If you want to avoid the ads, you can pay $5.99 for a subscription or get lucky and get gifted a sub, or you can link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account and get a free monthly subscription from Daddy Bezos to your favorite streamer. Hopefully that's me. If it's not me, then hopefully it's one of my friends. If you don't have a subscription, then you get stuck behind the 3-minute ad break that comes now. All right, chat. What do we want to do? So we could watch a second thought video. But I was thinking we could have a little fun. Let's have a little fun. Let's watch a Michael Reeves video. Let's watch a Michael Reeves video about having a goldfish pick stocks and see how it does. Unhinged Reeves, yep. I want one. The goldfish that picks stocks. But we'll see what the conclusion is. So let me post a link to the video. There we go. Chat, be sure to watch it alongside us. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. All the good stuff. All the stuff that you should be doing for my channel. And accidentally on the first test, drones went at him. He had a kill button though. Yeah. All right, chat. So here's the video.
$2:30 a.m.
There we go.
2:30 a.m. Time to rise and grind. First thing I do is grab breakfast. Wish I had time to cook, but I'm
Ew,
far
eggs.
too busy for that.
Oh, that's gross.
It's been 6 months since I quit YouTube to trade stocks full time. Social media is nice and all that.
I like to get the day started with just a nice casual jog. Just relax the body, you know, get your blood pumping, get a good start to the day.
But the real money is in the stock market. Now we can finally get to work.
stock, options, futures, derivative futures, buy Coin. Take all your babies, put it in the Coin. Day trade that option, trade that stock. Coin is worthless. I sold every last drop of my Coin. Sell it all, and then buy it. Got it. And that's just a day in the life of a stock trader, baby. I executed the stock trade, and it gave me money. So make sure to tune in next time for... Listen, I don't know how to trade stocks, man. I lost all my money on Robinhood. I had no idea what I'm doing. If only there was something that could trade stocks for me.
Teaching my goldfish to trade stocks and letting it decide my financial future.
I want to give my goldfish, Frederick, the ability to trade stocks. Now I know what you're thinking. Michael, you own a goldfish? And Michael, why haven't you posted a video in 8 months? Anyways, this is my idea.
All right, I'm gonna fill.
Right here.
We track Frederick's position anywhere he is.
I'm gonna fill.
Then every morning when the stock.
I'm gonna fill my water real quick, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna let it keep playing though.
Market opens, he'll be prompted with 2 random companies. He'll choose one by spending more time on that side of the tank. Then the computer will take his decision and buy that stock with the money of whoever is sponsoring this video.
But before any of that, we need to track fish. You might think I built my fish tank against a blank white wall because it provides ample lighting and doesn't overstimulate my fish. Wrong. I did it so I can write the detection software to just look for orange pixels of the fish and it won't get fucked up by a shitty, messy background. Here's some code I wrote that displays what the camera sees. It's not much, but we can add a function in that filters out specific colors, like apartheid. Then we can tell that function to filter out every color that isn't orange. Now,
Like apartheid, chat. So we can filter out colors like apartheid.
This is kind of a complicated coding thing, so just try to keep up with this. And bada bing, bada boom, we got a color mask. But it has these little speckles of shit in it. We just gotta sprinkle some post-processing code on there and clean it right up. I did not have to Google how to do that, shut the fuck up. Then we take that post-processed image, find the location of this little blob of pixels, draw a circle around it, then take that circle, copy it, draw it on the original image, bada bing, bada boom, tracking fish track. And honestly, that was most of the hard part. I just added some random stuff like the tickers and some logic, and I think we're ready to test it without actual money, because I don't know if it works. All right, so you should see these lights turn on.
Some logic, 30 hours of spaghetti code.
To test it without actual money, because I don't know if it works. All right, so you should see these lights turn on, including the fish tank one, because I wired it to this relay box over there, and the program should turn them on automatically. Anytime it will turn them. God fucking damn, is it broke? No, the lights are on. Boom. Tickers at the top. Boom. The fish is choosing. He's favoring the MO one. Ooh, what'll it be? Ooh, what's he gonna? Oh my god, it fucking worked. That's so amazing. The fish bought stock. Well, I mean, he didn't buy the stock, but like he chose his stock. That's amazing. He bought Altria over Boeing. Excellent choice. I think we're ready to hook it up to the actual stock market, which is actually gonna be super easy. There's like 1 million of these stock market APIs that let you buy stocks with just a little bit of code. I'm gonna use this one called Alpaca API. They're all pretty much the same though. And really all I have to do is add a few lines to the fish code and yeah, I guess we're done. Yeah, Frederick can start trading stocks anytime. I'm gonna go upstairs and start it. What is that? What is Wall Street Bet? That is a subreddit for dipshit.
Oh my god, I fucking love this.
Who try to get rich quick on meme stocks.
We like the stock. We like the...
Like this idiot, who recorded himself losing $50,000 in 2 seconds. Their investments are not based on logic here. They're based on memes and tendies.
Those guys are fucking geniuses. Their stocks only go up.
Wait, what?
Fuck, I could have built a bot that scraped the Wall Street Bet subreddit and just bought stocks based on what they posted there. Should I just start over? But Frederick already knows how to trade stocks. But those guys from Wall Street Bets literally only pick good stocks. You've seen GameStop, you've seen Tesla, you saw Frederick in there. It was fucking incredible. Just stick to the plan. Wall Street Bet said it would be free tendies. What do you not get about free tendies? I don't know. I wish, like, if only I could make both and then pit the two systems against each other in a sick competition of fish versus man to see which one makes more money.
The entire collective knowledge of Wall Street bets versus a goldfish. Oh my god, I love this comparison.
Frederick takes an early lead by buying Nike stock. But those dumbasses at Wall Street Bets buy Lucid and they're close behind. This is gonna be it's me, the bitch ass.
I lost money on Lucid. I'm not happy about it. I thought Lucid was going to be a really good electric company. I'll lurk for a bit. Have a good stream. Thank you for the biddies, Willie. I appreciate the lurk. Yeah, I had money in Lucid. It's an EV. For those that don't know what Lucid is, it's an EV. That the vehicle is like pretty high quality and it has like 400 miles of range. I was looking at buying one instead of my Tesla, but they were like 80 grand, and my Tesla was like 60 something. Lucid Dreaming. Yeah, I think that was literally where the name came from.
Ass audience. Michael, you can't just represent an entire community with a computer program. Yes, the fuck I can. For this bot to work, we need to know how Wall Street Bets feels about certain stocks. To do this, we're gonna use sentiment analysis, which is a natural language processing technique that uses machine learning. They were looking through my YouTube comments. One says, "Die forever, bastard. I hate you." A sentiment analysis bot would classify that as negative. And if we look at another one that says, "I think you're great. Also, I have a super cool robot idea for you," a sentiment analysis bot would classify that as super fucking negative because your idea probably sucks ass. To train a sentiment analysis bot, you need a lot of labeled data. So
Chat, do you notice that the microphone he's using isn't plugged in? That beats what my parent thought Teslas cost. Yeah, my Tesla, I think I bought it for 67 and I put 21,000 down. They're currently selling Teslas for like 30 grand, but my car had a shit ton of features. My car was one of the last cars to have a ton of interior features and shit like that. Now they're selling them as like shells of the car that I currently have.
of labeled data. So a lot of samples of text that are labeled positive or negative by a human. There are a lot of these data sets out there that are public.
Yeah, Lucid Air Pures go for 69,000 now, apparently. It was like 80,000 when I looked at it.
Publicly available, but the text is like normal person talking. Wall Street Bets.
They talk about tendies and YOLO. And
parents thought Teslas were like 160K. No, they're not. They're like just as expensive as like regular cars. They were expensive like initially back in the day in the early 2010s, but they're not expensive now. Also, I mean the other thing is the Cybertrucks go for like 250 grand. So maybe they're thinking of that shit.
And boomers, hands or paper hands, stongs, just YOLO.
Very unique vocabulary. Therefore, I needed to make my own data set using their fucked weird Wall Street Bets language. So I went to r/Wall Street Bets, sorted by top of all time, downloaded the top 10,000 posts, and all that's left to do was to label them as positive or negative. So I sat down with a nice cup of coffee and labeled the data myself. No, that would have taken 4 or 5 hours. That's fucking stupid. Instead, I spent an entire month learning the React web framework and building a website that would allow users to log in and label the data for me. Then I tweeted asking Wall Street Bets members to give me their Reddit usernames. I then plugged those usernames into the Reddit API, got the top 10 accounts with the most Reddit karma who were active on Wall Street Bets. Those 10 people labeled 1,000 posts each, 10,000 posts total, and created the data set for me. And that's how you turn a 5-hour task into a 1.5-month task. Because I'm a programmer, and that's what we do. I use that data set to train a sentiment analysis bot, and now every morning when the fish is trading stocks, this bot is going on r/Wall Street Bets. It's looking through the top posts of the day until it finds one it likes, and then it buys the stock that post is talking about. So that's how that works. Let's get back to the competition and see which one is better at trading stocks.
Insane things are happening, Michael,
this
right
is
now.
Crazy stuff going on. Interesting buy from Wall Street Bets. I don't know if the GameStop play is going to work out for them.
People love games, Michael. They fucking love games. Big tank from Wall Street Bet could be like another 9/11 situation. Fish is going crazy buying Costco and Facebook.
Meta now.
It's a crazy day. There's a lot of volatility right now.
Very confusing. I don't know where this one's gonna go. I'm gonna get an expert's opinion on this for sure.
We went to T-Mobile to see about upgrading our phones. The bottom line is my mom's looking at a government phone plan for me. I'm like, hell no. Wait, there's a government phone plan? I feel like that's not good because then the government literally has all your information without having to get a warrant.
Have a nice day.
You're all set.
Hey! This is Graham Stephan. He does financial investing videos and is also rich as fuck. Hello. So you do money Yeah. You have money. I came to ask you questions. I'm gonna give you 2 portfolios. I just want you to look them over. Which one do you think is better?
Oh, okay. Okay. Portfolio 1's interesting. Now portfolio 2. Okay. We got a lot of the memes here. The market's been down. Pretty much everything has been down the last 3 months.
Yeah.
But if I were to, I would feel way more comfortable with the first one.
What if I told you that an algorithm has picked all of these stocks?
I would believe it.
I'm gonna give you the performance.
Wow, the algorithm has performed. Now, this is only over 3 months.
For the portfolio 1 is managed by Frederick. This video is about investing.
Yeah.
So like maybe giving viewers an opportunity to invest into a fund that is managed by my fish.
So it's a fish.
Yeah.
I'm back. Thank you for
I love Michael Reeves. I love Michael Reeves so much. Oh my fucking God, I love him so much.
What did Graham say?
His money is on the fish.
Peaks and the valleys for Wall Street's bets. It's better and bigger than anyone. They can win.
But Graham's money is on the fish.
I fucking hate you, Graham Stevens. Big fall.
What the fuck was that? What was that? Huge. It's not looking good for Wall Street bets right now at all. What is that? What is that?
This could be it.
It's climbing.
It's the comeback.
It's climbing. It's to the moon. It's gonna break through, bro. It's gonna fucking break through. Oh. It fucking died. The fish won!
Let's go,
Fucking go, Frederick! Fuck you, Wall Street bets get shit on by a fish! Fucking go! That settles it. Fish is the superior.
Oh my God, chat.
Technology. So that's it, right? No, I think I can use this fish technology to create a legitimate business. I've been working on a startup proposal for the last couple of days, and I have a meeting set up to try and get some investors. So I'm gonna... It's like a venture capitalist startup meeting.
Except it wasn't that at all. It was like this weird fucking hype house for startup founders. So each one of these people has started their own company, and the management has allowed me to pitch my startup idea to them.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael. I'm here representing Reefly. It's a small fintech startup. You've seen it all happening already. Articles like this. A lot of inexperienced people are losing money in the stock market. That's where Reefly fits in. We have a couple of algorithms going. WSB, mainly sentiment analysis. The second, Fish, tracks analyst movement.
Beat by a fish, how sad. It just goes to show that, like, literally the stock market is fake.
WSB is performing well below market average, but Fish is outperforming the NASDAQ by some 13% last
Yep.
quarter. Honestly.
That's right. That's right. The fish outperformed the stock market. There are literally professionals. There are literally professionals that get paid to do this that cannot beat the market. So this is why, this is not financial advice, but I leave most of my money in index funds because there are significantly less in fees and the index funds move with the market and the market always beats the actively traded funds. Stock market a gamble unless, yeah. That's what I personally do. Again, this is not financial advice.
The main reason I'm here is because of the performance of that fish technology. It's performing very well, but generally we think it can be performing even better. Pretty sure it comes down to a few things. Tank health, clarity, like of the water. We're probably gonna be improving food and like better filters in general.
I love that he started talking like super seriously and then he slowly transitioned into be like, oh yeah, no, I'm talking about, I'll take your advice. Thanks. No, this is not financial advice. SEC, don't come after me. This is not financial advice. God damn it, Prodigy son. You're gonna put a target on my back. Now they're gonna come get me earlier and throw me in the concentration camp.
We need to know how long the fish can perform. Looking into the data, the lifespan of this species is generally around 8 to 12 years. We think that with better water parameters and more attention to the food, we can get it up to an outlier of 20 plus years. The fish's name is Frederick, and that, thank you. Do you have any questions?
I have a lot of questions. So the fish is determining your stock picks?
Yeah, it's fish. It's fish is the idea. So we've got a front-facing camera on. The fish is prompted with 2 stock. Whichever side it spends more time on, just that stock. Do you have any more questions? You know, not everyone can see the vision. And that's okay. It's not like I'm mad. Not mad or anything.
Fuck! Why don't they understand? Fuck!
You are Nancy Pelosi and tell her husband to buy stock in microchip companies 3 months before you bail them out massively during COVID to alleviate shortages in the market. Yeah. Nancy Pelosi's husband is the best stock trader that has ever lived. Weird how that happens.
I guess the world just isn't ready for this technology. All I wanted to do was get super fucking rich. But maybe I don't deserve it. But I think I know someone who does. So I sold all the stocks in the portfolio and withdrew the money.
This is the exact amount of money Frederick has made so far, $1,007.59. Can you believe my goldfish made this?
And then I went back to where I got him.
Her husband's the best stock trader. I just typed it. Nancy Pelosi husband is playing 100D chess. Rest of us are playing snakes and ladders over here. Yep. Not even chutes and ladders, snakes and ladders.
I got him from this tank. And now he's doing such big things. Excuse me, I'm looking to get some like better filters and food.
They're really good filters.
Awesome, I will grab this. What about food?
Stuff like this.
Oh, that's some fancy shit. Go. The rest is for Frederick.
Sorry?
It's for Frederick, the rest of it.
Frederick?
Yeah, the rest is for Frederick. You can keep the rest. Frederick made it. Thank you.
Wham, Michael, why did it take you so long to make the video? I don't fucking know. It feels like I blacked out for 8 months and still somehow managed to procrastinate the video until the last minute like a dumbass. Still faster than internet historian, baby. That's what matters. And as for Frederick, he made enough money to retire. He'll live out the rest of his days in fish paradise.
That's the end of the video. Thank you for watching.
Also hilarious that he references internet historian, which I'm pretty sure their channel they shut down because it found out that they literally copied other people's stories. South Africa, it's called Snakes and Ladders. Didn't realize it's called Shoots and Ladders. It's Shoots. Yeah, Shoots and Ladders. I didn't realize it was called Snakes and Ladders because like in SpongeBob, it's called Escalators and Eels.
If you liked it, you can subscribe so you can catch my next upload in 2025. Shout out to...
In Spanish, it's Snakes and Ladders too. Goldfish came through. That's right. Goldfish beat Wall Street bets, baby.
Frederick for making this possible. Shout out to God, Jesus, Catholic Jesus. Oh, I made this poster for myself using the data from Frederick versus Wall Street bets
you have some
because
gold.
all the graphs needed to be in 8K, so why not? I figured I may as well sell it, so if you want it, you can have it, and if you don't want it, you do not have to get it. It is fucking gargantuan, though. It's like my height. I mean, I'm a short fucking person, but like it's still a gargantuan poster.
I kind of want that poster.
Long. It has all the brands and when they were bought by like who at the exact times. It's lit. If you want it, you can go to my new URL.
Dude, look how volatile the Wall Street bets one got at the end.
Thisbaby.art is no longer my store or whatever. I just didn't like the weird toilet humor. I'm trying to go in like a more elegant direction. Also, I forgot to renew the domain and so somebody stole it. So now pissbaby.store is my new best friend. It doesn't matter, you just click the thing in the description anyway. Yeah, thank you for watching. Yeah, okay, goodbye. See you in a year. The sponsor of this video is public.com.
Ethical Reacts, Ethical Reacts.
Sell stocks like Frederick? Well, you fucking can't. He's special. But if you want to get close, Public is a great place to start. It's a commission-free trading app where you can buy and sell stocks, follow investors, and share ideas. Aside from taking 0 commissions, the big draw of Public is that you can follow other investors, look at their portfolios, and learn from them. And on top of that, Public will never sell your data or move your trades through market makers, which is something I learned about when I was making that bullshit presentation for the Hype House launch house. It can cause conflicts of interest depending on who owns what. The Green app does it, the other one that I'm not allowed to say. You can even follow me at Pussy Nugget.
Okay, they said I couldn't use that name, so now it is at Michael Reeves. At Michael Reeves.
In
in the public app, where I will be investing solely based on the decisions made by my goldfish Frederick. This is investing, so there are risks, but if you understand those risks, public is an excellent place to start investing and learning. So if you're interested, you can sign up at my link in the description, and when you deposit, you'll get anywhere from $300 to $300 in a fractional share. Thank you again to Public for sponsoring this video. It was their budget that went to my goldfish and Wall Street Bet spot for investing. So they don't know where that went, and this is how they will find out. Thank you, goodbye.
That's awesome. In case there are any infants watching, nothing in this video constitutes professional and or financial advice. Do not do what I did in this video. Oh, I love Michael Reeves. I love Michael Reeves so much. God, his shit is so fucking funny. Oh, he's so hilarious. All right, chat. I have some other stuff to react to. We do this fun one here. This is fun for me. Why the far right is always worse than the far left.
The media likes to portray left.
Kind of a fun video. Kind of a fun video. How, for those that always hear that the far right and the far left are almost identical. So that's why we need to fear both sides. So this is kind of someone's analysis on it. So, yeah. Let's see. Very fun unless I'm a subject of them. I don't think you personally are going to be a subject of them. But yeah, here's the video. Check them out, chat. Watch it alongside. Watch it alongside. Let's see. We go here. Pop that open. Go here. And boom.
Right extremism as being equally evil and dangerous. This is commonly referred to as horseshoe theory. If you follow both left or right-wing ideology to their extremes, they eventually become equivalent to one another. This is wrong for a variety of historical and ideological reasons. In today's video, we're going to take left-wing ideology and right-wing ideology, drag them out to their extremes in both personal characteristics and government policies, and show how right-wing extremism is morally worse and a much bigger threat. Let's first establish general left versus right values, starting with the left. The left is broadly progressive. The left believes in caring for all and uplifting the poor. They believe in limiting the power of moneyed interests and corporations, and most importantly, view politics through material conditions. This means how much money people have and their access to housing, food, healthcare, employment, and technology. These material conditions are seen as the biggest determiner in how a society functions. Violence, poverty, and general social dynamics are at their core influenced by material conditions above all else. The left believes in wealth redistribution and a strong central state that can provide infrastructure and meet the basic needs of all people. The left believes in strong social safety nets and making sure that people in weaker positions, like the old, disabled, and minority groups, should be uplifted. They lastly value internationalism and solidarity amongst the global working class. Now let's take a look at right-wing values. The right is conservative, praising tradition over progressive ways of thinking. The right typically opposes political and social reform. Being inherently opposed to progressivism and new ideas, the role they play is often an oppositional reaction to social and economic reforms proposed by the left, hence the term describing them reactionary. The right typically values past traditions and usually wants to return to a time in the past where the society supposedly had better values and was more prosperous. The right believes in natural hierarchies. There are always winners and losers, and the human condition cannot overcome these natural ways of living. Hard work and morality are the biggest determiners in your place in society. Right-wingers believe that the conditions of society, like poverty, social dynamics, and crime, are not the result.
Dude, look at these fucking losers. Look at these fucking losers. Oh, God, I hate. I wish they would just all go to Florida and live in their libertarian utopia that they're trying to create.
Result of people's
Far right and left being similar is a right-wing propaganda. Yes, it is. 100%.
material conditions. Poverty.
I mean, technically it's propaganda out of the Democratic Party as well, which the Democratic Party is also right-wing.
And crime are a reflection of personal and moral failures. They therefore believe in equality.
They're basically creating false equivalences between the far left and the far right, and to basically say that the far right needs to be, or the far left needs to be exterminated.
Of opportunity, not equality of outcome. Oftentimes, this hierarchy is tied to nationalism, race, or religion. They prefer a smaller government but large military and value national interest. Now let's briefly touch on the center. The center wants to maintain the status quo. The center in modern times is reflected in what many often refer to as neoliberal politics. They do not believe or want to fundamentally change the economic system. They believe in free markets and much less constrained capitalism. Liberals do not believe in a hierarchical society as conservatives do. They speak to underprivileged groups, but largely don't believe in or are not willing to enact radical economic programs or reforms. Instead of focusing on funding social services, safety nets, and universal programs like the left, liberals prefer information campaigns and a media culture war to uplift underprivileged groups. Liberals and centrism love procedures and rules. They love trying to work with Republicans even when they're actively spitting in their face. Centrists often create programs to help minority groups, but many only focus on improving visibility and representation. Their vision of success is getting diverse people into the top jobs in the same oppressive structures in government or corporations, dominating the communities they come from. From a left-wing view, centrism ignores the root causes of inequality by avoiding big reforms like universal healthcare, raising the minimum wage, addressing policing, or wealth inequality. They see progress as just selecting a more diverse ruling class. From a right-wing view, centrism is seen as giving special treatment when everyone is supposedly starting on equal ground. This, coupled with liberals' desire to maintain the obviously failing status quo, and elitism frustrates both sides, which is why people on the left and the right hate liberals. Many people in the United States confuse liberals with the left.
That's so good.
When liberals are very much not leftists. Many self-proclaimed liberals in the US only call themselves liberals because of mainstream media framing. Liberalism is presented as the only alternative to conservatism or the Republican Party. In reality, when you ask them about key policy issues, like cutting the military budget, legalizing marijuana, free college, universal healthcare, canceling student debt, and medical debt, their views are far to the left of the Democratic Party and liberalism. The center/liberals believe that the current system is broken, we just need to make a couple tweaks to fix it. Never anything too fundamental. While the left believes that the system is not broken, but working exactly as intended. Capitalism will naturally create the problems we are seeing in society. The left does not want to fix the current system, but dismantle it and create a different system. So in reality, there are a lot of people in the US who may claim to be liberals, but are actually leftists. Now that we have a very condensed idea of left, right, and center, let's take these.
I love that they defined. I love that they defined everything. But this is the problem with being a leftist, is you have to fucking redefine all of the brain rot that we've been propagandized our entire life.
These ideologies to the extreme and show which ideology is more dangerous. The criteria we are using to judge the morality of each extreme is which ideology gives the best outcomes to pursue happiness, peace, and enrichment for a majority of society. First, let's talk about your average right-wing conservative. As a moderate conservative, you believe in hierarchy. You see winners and losers in society, but you think it's based on merit. People get what they deserve by working hard or making good choices. Maybe your family struggled in the past, but they pulled through by working hard and doing everything the right way. And now you're looking around and wondering why other people can't do the same. To you, things like poverty or crime aren't about systemic issues. They're excuses. You're tired of hearing about handouts when you and your family didn't need them. You wouldn't call yourself a racist at all. You might have minority friends you genuinely like. Maybe you work or grew up with some. You respect the ones you know personally, the ones who work hard and do it the right way. But when you look at the larger picture, it's harder to feel the same way. You see the news or scroll online, and it's full of stories about crime, drugs, or poverty.
JD Vance without facial hair. JD Vance without facial hair. Oh, God. America's very cooked. EU is failing, too. To be honest, some EU countries like France were carried from riches from colonial days till now. I don't think that's 100% true. The French labor movement is pretty powerful. But like the French elites and shit are not allowing labor to have any say at the table, which is why Macron was trying to lower the fucking retirement age, which I got in a very heated argument with somebody about that shit. Yeah, and they were like, "Oh, the life expectancy is going up, so we need to raise the retirement age because it's running out of money." No, it's not fucking running out of money. You are just pissed that wealthy people will no longer continue to profit off the backs of working class people and exploit their labor. France has big protests, yeah. They know how to protest. It's pretty. French protests are fucking dope.
In minority communities. It starts to feel like those things aren't just individual problems, but tied to cultures or communities. And politically, you're frustrated. You've seen your town go downhill over the years, jobs disappear.
Oh, there's a fucking video I watched on stream of a dude. Oh, let me see if I can find it. Best croissant in France, I think was the name of it. Oh, here it is.
My name is Luis, and today
Here it is. Here it is. We watched this on stream. We watched this on stream. I fucking love this video.
Hi, my name is Luis, and today I'm in Paris to try the top 5 croissants, and we're gonna see which one is the best. So the first one we're gonna check is called.
So, I seen every vid on YouTube. Dude, this video is amazing because this is during the massive protest in Paris.
Excuse me, how do you pronounce this?
Tout autour du pain.
Tout autour du pain.
All around the bread.
It's very cute inside, it's cute and little. They offer some coffee from the coffee machine. It's not, I do not recommend the coffee they serve, but let's try what we're here for. So.
Okay, maybe we'll come back to that video.
Industries left, and everything has gotten more expensive. Democrats or liberals in power didn't fix any of that. If anything, things got worse. You miss the days when your community had better paying jobs and people seemed to have stronger values. You like someone like Trump because he sticks to those liberal elites who are completely out of touch with normal people like you. You're not extreme though. You might laugh at an edgy joke here and there, but you don't see yourself as one of those far-right types. Their open racism or fascism is a step too far for you. Now let's take those baseline right-wing beliefs to the extreme. Let's look at the far right. Maybe your town was pretty homogenous, or maybe the only minorities you saw were poor and struggling. You probably had someone in your life, like an uncle, parent, or cousin, who was openly bigoted and planted those ideas in you early on. Once you started getting online, the stuff you saw there backed up what you already thought. It's not that some people aren't working hard, it's because they can't. They're not making bad decisions because of bad luck or tough circumstances, they're making those decisions because they're inferior. And you start going deeper into those ideas. It's their genetics, their culture, their religion.
Dude, I fucking hate
All of
those
it is
people.
supposedly worse than yours. Poverty and crime aren't because of material conditions or any system. It's because those people are naturally like that. And now it's not just their problem, it's society's problem. They're the reason for crime.
Dude, he's literally nailing this. He's nailing all of this. This is so good.
Poverty and everything else that's wrong with the world. They're taking your jobs, they're ruining your country. The solution, according to these extremists, is to get rid of them. Whether it's controlling birth rates, forcing them out, or outright violence, the goal is a pure society. If they don't do something now, there'll be more of them than us, and that can't happen. At first, it's just online talk. You find some message board full of people who feel the same way, and you start hanging out there. Maybe you even show up to a protest in real life, covering your face, of course, to complain about a mosque being built or something. But here's the important thing. This ideology always ends in violence. That's the final step. It's terrorism directed at the outgroup. The mass shootings in New Zealand, New York, Texas, there are countless examples of where this goes. Those shooters didn't act in a vacuum. They wrote manifestos, and guess what was on them? The same far-right talking points you'll find on those message boards. This type of targeted violence is almost exclusively right-wing. On a personal level, far-right extremists are some of the most isolated, miserable people you'll ever meet. Most of them are losers. They've got maybe 1 or 2 friends in real life, and they're constantly trying to outdo each other in how extreme they can get. The rest of their social life is online, hanging out in echo chambers with racists and incels. There are 2 main types of these guys. First, you've got the more socially awkward ones. They're bitter, jaded, and insecure. They don't share their views confidently in real life, so they stick to dark humor or mumble it under their breath. Online, they're very loud. Then you've got the Proud Boy types. These people need to play up their masculinity and 1950s ass idea of male values. Unsurprisingly, the people who want to play up their masculinity are also deeply insecure and cowardly. They love playing pretend cowboy and dedicating their life to hating others.
Oh, I deal with these fucking people all the time. Like, I work with people like this that are like, oh, I have to be a man. I have to be strong, blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. Everyone knows you're a fucking loser. You're a fucking loser. You're not fucking cool. and you're a bigot and you're racist and you're fucking misogynistic. There's a reason that you have been alone your entire fucking life.
They channel their insecurities into the most pathetic form of community imaginable and a fake form of ethnic white unity. Truly, some of the biggest losers in the world. To live this lifestyle is corrosive to the core, and these are deeply sad, miserable people. That was the personal journey of extremism. But it doesn't take a genius to guess what the results are when far-right extremism captures a country's government. Let's look at some far-right governments. Taking baseline conservative instincts of hierarchy and in-and-out groups to their extreme has dire consequences. Conservatism is inherently dividing. The degree of how far on the right translates to how far you crack down on the people you think are different from you. As a result, far-right extremism results in brutal attacks on perceived outgroups. Employing the power of the state, its media, and industry against targeted groups leads to oppression, apartheid, or extermination. A majority of the worst atrocities you can think of in the past 150
South Africa, Israel, Nazi Germany.
years or so can be tied.
Japan is probably falls under that ilk as well. Not current Japan, but Japanese Empire. Russia is pretty close to that at this point.
Directly to this ideology. In Spain, Francisco Franco's fascist forces carried out mass executions, suppressed languages and cultures, and killed hundreds of thousands of civilians and political prisoners. In Central America, Nicaragua, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras all experienced right-wing paramilitary operations. These were trained and funded by the US to overthrow popular, democratically elected socialist governments. These paramilitaries committed widespread
Night, ass cow. Hope you have a restful sleep.
Atrocities, massacring civilians to ensure the governments remained loyal to US interests. Combined, these actions resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. In fascist Italy, Benito Mussolini embraced an extreme right-wing ideology rooted in ultranationalism, militarism, and the subjugation of perceived inferior groups. Mussolini's government orchestrated the mass murder of political opponents and marginalized groups through internment camps. During wars of expansion in Ethiopia and Libya, fascist forces used chemical weapons, razed villages, and imprisoned civilians in brutal conditions. In Chile, socialist leader Salvador Allende was overthrown in a US-backed coup, leading to Augusto Pinochet's brutal regime. Pinochet's government tortured, killed, and disappeared tens of thousands of people. In the United States, the Ku Klux Klan terrorized and killed tens of thousands in a campaign of racist violence and terrorism. Japanese fascism, often overlooked in these discussions, justified its atrocities with a belief of ethnic and cultural superiority. This ideology led to an estimated 10
Japan still kind of has this problem that they see superiority over other people.
tens of millions of deaths across Asia. In China alone, Japanese forces directly killed 10 to 25 million people
Jesus
and indirectly caused the deaths of up to 50 million through starvation. And
Yeah, they never fucking talk about this. They never talk about Japan, what Japan did, because Japan became our allies almost immediately because we dropped 2 atomic bombs on them. Like, what Japan did to Koreans and Chinese people prior to World War II and through World War II was devastatingly fucking awful.
Other means, all the while committing some of the most depraved atrocities imaginable, such as human experiments and the infamous rape of Nanking. The most infamous example, of course, is Nazi Germany, which industrialized mass murder to an unprecedented degree, resulting in an estimated 15 million deaths. You could go on for much longer, touching on the far-right extremism and fascism in places like Indonesia, Greece, Portugal, and so on. These examples underscore the devastating consequences of right-wing extremism when it captures state power. Whether targeting groups based on ethnicity, religion, race, or ideology, the result has consistently been terror and mass killings. These are just some of the most infamous instances. Okay, now let's take your average left-wing person. If you're left-wing, you've got at least a basic understanding of capitalism and how it is tied to poverty, homelessness, and crime. When you see someone struggling, your instinct isn't to judge them or feel disappointed in their actions. You're asking, what can society do to help them? And empathy is in front and center in your worldview. You'll point out the flaws in the capitalist system, but you're not about to overthrow the whole thing. You're skeptical of revolution, but looking for big changes, and you think we can get there without tearing everything down. You still believe in the current institutions, and maybe you're imagining something like social democracies in Europe, especially those in Scandinavia with stronger social safety nets and fairness baked into society. Look at how popular Bernie Sanders was in 2016 and 2020.
Except those countries in Europe are based on exploiting third world countries, the global south.
That's the kind of left we're talking about here. You're not necessarily diving into Marxist or revolutionary ideas, you're focused on making changes happen within the system as it stands. Now let's take those baseline left-wing ideas to the extreme. They're just as empathetic as your average leftist, but you're a lot more direct and critical about calling out capitalism as the root of the problem. For you, it's not about fixing the system, but overthrowing it. Capital
Okay, that was a weird photo. Was that an AI photo? That was a very weird photo. Why does Lenin look so weird there?
overthrowing it. Capitalism isn't just flawed, it's the crux of the problem. And if that means violent revolution, you're ready for it. In fact, most believe that violent revolution might be the only way to remove the ruling class. You probably participate in or organize labor unions, political parties, or activist groups. You're uncompromising in your beliefs and you have no patience for fascists or racists. Similar to the far right, your ideology can sometimes make you stand out or even feel isolated in mainstream social settings. You might be more out there in terms of appearance with tattoos, piercings, or clothing. Far left groups are typically diverse and there really isn't an out group. Everyone is generally accepted except for the far right. When it comes to violence, far left extremists have much different targets and philosophy compared to the far right. They're not out targeting random civilians or marginalized
Stavros said something like this because Stavi's super based.
groups. They're going after fascists or the state. Antifa is the common boogeyman and is painted as the worst of leftist extremism, the left's version of a school shooter. Unless you are a fascist or a Nazi, which we can all hopefully agree are universally bad ideologies, nothing to fear. Their violence is directed towards fascists.
I saw a post. I saw a post this morning. It was like, what's something that used to be normally accepted in society that you would like to see be accepted in society again? And it was that Nazis were bad. It was hilarious. Also, this is the anarchy symbol I was talking about earlier. Noticed how the A stays within the circle and not outside the circle. So if you ever see anything like spray painted with the A stretching outside the circle, that's probably a right-wing person trying to frame anarchist.
Never feel comfortable enough to march openly and attack minority groups. The media would like you to believe horseshoe theory that Antifa violently defending minorities is the equivalent of a mass shooter going into a grocery store and indiscriminately killing minorities. The left extremist goal is an objectively more admirable goal than wholesale massacre. Despite what media might say, far left violence is almost always directed at specific targets, not innocent random people. The Center for Strategic and International Studies in 2020 revealed that over the previous 25 years, the vast majority of terrorist attacks and plots in the US were perpetrated by far-right attackers. 90% of all terrorism in 2020 alone was right-wing. Of the remaining leftist terrorist attacks, there were acts like assaults.
Something about how on the left you may see people who look different colored hair, different looks, different gender identities. Sometimes you may have questions. But these people have your best interest in mind and will take care of you. I would feel safer any day around them than some psycho with the AR-15. Dude, that is such a good fucking Stavi joke. That's so good.
Fire bombings, and arson. Even environmental protesters sitting on roads or treetops were often registered as acts of terrorism. Actual targeted attacks on individuals with deadly violence from a leftist is exceedingly rare. The most recent prominent case being Luigi Mangione.
Allegedly.
I'll let you decide for yourself if that violent act.
Allegedly. It was allegedly Luigi. It was allegedly Luigi. Also, pretty sure Luigi's not far left. His ideology is all over the place, which is the most American shit ever. But again, allegedly, he's just a defendant in a case.
Is the equivalent to a right-wing person targeting a random black person or immigrant in a grocery store. I'm not saying you cannot find examples of left-wing extremists killing innocent people, but looking at targets and frequency, it's not even a question of which is worse. Meanwhile, we have constant right-wing attacks year after year to the point where it's a fairly common occurrence. Now, I know what many people associate with the far left, especially Americans, is identity politics. While the far right is fairly universal in their messaging, the far left tends to splinter, particularly with messaging around identity. While all leftists want what's best for everyone in marginalized groups, there can be a large difference in the messaging and way to achieve that. There are broadly two camps. The first method focuses on universality, meaning focusing on uniting everyone on an equal field and speaking to every group at the same level. There may be specific groups that are struggling more, but the best way to help them is by focusing on raising all working class people's standards together. Hyper-focusing on
This is what I believe in. I believe in universality because if you universally give benefits or if you universally give benefits across the board, whether you are rich or poor or something like that, it's harder to get rid of. I believe in Joe Hendry. Sorry, I had to do it. I don't know who Joe Hendry is. That's like the second time I've seen that name.
specific identities only divides the working class and alienates people who would have otherwise been on board with the class struggle. It drives their attention away from class politics to focusing on their racial, gender, and identity differences. In the modern day, this method of messaging is typically divided between Eastern and Western leftists. The former Soviet Union and currently Communist China does not participate in any type of identity politics messaging that you would be familiar with in the West, focusing much more on universalism amongst class.
Newest WWE star, he has a catchy theme song. It's a meme. Oh, okay.
Modern Western leftists tend to focus much more on individual identities and develop specific...
But what if people who don't deserve it benefit from it? What do you mean, people who don't deserve it? They're human beings. They deserve it. But yeah, I've said this all the time. I hate Nazis. Nazis are the lowest scum of the earth. But I want them to have universal health care. I want them to have universal education. I want them to get shelter over their heads.
Specific messaging campaigns and terminology. They attempt the impossible task of trying to accommodate catered messaging to every possible difference between different groups, usually to the dissatisfaction of every group. While this is certain...
Kanye made a song called Heil Hitler. Yeah, I fucking saw the video from Sneeko's stream. But Kiko, did you see that Kanye just trying to provoke people? Yeah. And nobody's paying attention to him. And it's amazing. I mean, he also hung out with Candace Owens too, so you might actually believe this shit and be a Nazi. But Kanye was bonding with Sneeko, who is the streamer whose stream he was on. They had thought the stream was off. Kanye was bonding with Sneeko about being cucks. Because the running like known thing is that Sneeko was a cuck with one of his previous girlfriends. And Kanye was bonding with Sneeko, talking about, he's like, oh yeah, sometimes I like to just stand outside of the room and listen to it or something like that. Dude needs to go back to lithium. I mean, we don't kink shame here. But yeah, he needs to go back to lithium. He needs to go back on his meds.
Certainly done in good faith and by well-intentioned people on the left, the alienation that this has done on the working class is undeniable.
Rules. Also, they find out that the stream is still going. And Kanye immediately like, pushes the camera over and tries to knock the stream off. And it's fucking hilarious.
Specify that when we have a gender non-binary candidate or officer, the non-binary individual is counted as neither male nor female, and the remaining 6 offices must be gender balanced. With the results of the previous 4 elections, our elected officers are currently 2 male and 2 female. In order to be gender balanced, we must...
But if you really think about it, Kanye likes to put his girls in no clothes on the street. So this fits with the cuck stuff. Yeah. But like, he also dresses his current wife like his previous wife. Weird. Also, I think it's a stretch, Prodigy son. I think it's more so I'm showing off my wife. I think that's more of the goal with that. And not only am I showing her off, but I'm embarrassing her. I'm dominating her and embarrassing her. Ain't that current cuck though? No. What? Cucks aren't the dominant ones. Cucks sit in the corner of the room while somebody else has sex with their partner. That's what a cuck is.
We must elect 1 male.
So how is that being dominant? How is that dominating another person? Kanye's just a fucking broken person. He's just a broken person that refuses to take their mental medications. And they just need love and shit. And like, they're not going to get it as long as they stay off their mental medication. They made a character off Tucker Carlson called Tucker Nargan.
1 female and 1 person of any gender.
New wave academic terminology, discourse, and aggressive messaging around marginalized groups can be off-putting and not very accessible for your average working class person. Western leftists have placed themselves on a tightrope between messaging on universal programs that benefit everyone, while
You pronounced it completely wrong, Lamau. Okay. Cucker Narljan? Is it Narlson or is it a typo?
the same time not wanting to figuratively or literally abandon specific groups. This has undoubtedly contributed to the failure of the left and the West. The right wing capitalizes on this weakness by using working class people's annoyance with identity politics to vote completely against their best interests and focus on the culture war. Now let's get to the far left government. Before we get into discussing the far left government, please take a second to subscribe and like the video. Thank you. Let's look at
It's Tucker, and he's cucking, sitting in a corner while with a gnarled smile and sipping gin. Cucker Narljan. Cucker Narljan. I just heard something like from a girl about Kanye's cuck stuff. You know a girl that Kanye was a cuck for? I didn't even realize that he was into cucking until I saw the clip. But I'm like not shocked. He's just he's a broken human being. Not personally. Oh. Kanye dropped a song a few days ago called Cousins about when he blew his cousin. Yeah. Not personally, just on the internet. Yeah, so he's saying that he's gay now and he can use the F word. This man has $1 billion. No, he doesn't have $1 billion anymore. He's not a billionaire anymore. He literally tanked everything.
Look at what happens when these far left beliefs are held in positions of power. The left's main targets are those who are perpetuating systems of inequality: capitalists, wealthy elites, and landlords. Unlike the far right, where violence is directed downward onto marginalized outgroups, far left violence is directed upward to those in positions of power. The left's targets are a very small, highly powerful elite.
Oh, I use that.
In stark contrast to the far right's focus on much larger portions of the population, entire ethnicities, religions, immigrants, or those with different.
I had some people in my high school way back being Kanye fans thinking he's a genius. I had a roommate in grad school call Kanye a genius. And I said, no, he's an idiot. And they're like, no, he's a genius. I'm like, his music's fine. I think Kanye as a person, he's a fucking moron. And he's like, okay, I'll admit. His music, he's a musical genius. But as a person, he's a fucking moron. I said, okay. That's all I was looking for.
Sexual orientations. It is undeniably more just to challenge those exploiting others than to persecute individuals based on inherent traits or identity. Far-right governments seek to reinforce or expand existing hierarchies through policies of apartheid, genocide, or ethnic cleansing. Left-wing governments, even when authoritarian, aim to eradicate feudal systems, redistribute land.
Kanye is a moron, but a great producer. It's a thin line to say, though, between genius and crazy. Was Einstein crazy? He was good at marketing. He basically made money on merch. Yeah. Was Einstein crazy? Did Einstein go on any like kind of bigoted runs? Einstein literally refused to be the president of Israel. I don't know, you tell me. No, Einstein literally refused to be the president of Israel because he knew that Israel was going to become a fascist state. His hair is crazy. Yeah, Bernie's hair is crazy too. My hair is crazy too. I fucking hate doing my hair, which is why I want to buzz that shit. I mean, he didn't went over the line. Yeah, but like, it wasn't a thin line though. Like, if it was a thin line, you would say that he would go back and forth. If it's a thin line, it'd be back and forth between genius and crazy. Which is, I mean, Kanye's been on the crazy side pretty much all the time. But like, it's also crazy how like chatters don't have subscriptions to avoid the top of the hour ad break. The top of every hour, run a 3-minute ad. If you want to avoid the ads, you can pay $5.99 for a subscription or get lucky and get gifted a sub, or you can link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account and get a free monthly subscription from Daddy Bezos and Amazon to your favorite streamer. Hopefully that's me. If you don't, then you cannot avoid the ad that's coming right now. Thanks, Keko. Yeah, it's a joke anyway. It's like accidentally genius from idiots. Yeah. I think Einstein could have made graduation with the right resources. I love that fucking no more. That's amazing.
And eliminate poverty. These goals are intended to benefit the majority, even if they fail in execution. After addressing the atrocities of far-right regimes, it's essential to confront the darker chapters of far-left governments as well. One significant group of victims under far-left regimes have been those perceived as traitors or counter-revolutionaries. These victims, most notably during Stalin's purges, the Cultural Revolution, and the Khmer Rouge genocide, were casualties of paranoia, authoritarianism, and internal power struggles. Undoubtedly, many, if not most of the victims were loyal communists or innocents swept up in the chaos. However, it is crucial to separate these actions from the core tenets of leftist ideology. Nowhere in Marx's works does it advocate for purges, paranoia, or suppression of intellectuals. These killings were products of authoritarianism and power struggles, not intrinsic to leftist ideology. This is a fundamental difference between the far left and far right. These are traits that can manifest in any regime, right-wing or left-wing. To act like these are exclusively communist or left-wing traits is absurd. Right-wing regimes have employed the same methods to suppress dissent and consolidate power. Also, not all leftist governance is authoritarian. Many democratic socialist systems, such as those in Nordic countries, demonstrate how leftist principles can also exist without authoritarianism. And not all far-left authoritarianism is bad, as we have seen with the success of China raising 800 million people from poverty through what they call a dictatorship of the working class. When examining Western death tolls attributed to leftist governments, many deaths, such as those caused by famines in Maoist China, are ridiculously attributed to communism itself. Poor policies in some instances may be, but it is an insane assertion to present starvation as a core feature of communism, especially considering famines were a rampant recurring tragedy in pre-communist China and Russia with non-existent help from any government. Also, estimates of these death tolls are heavily inflated for Western narratives. The same death tolls, no joke, also count the deaths of Nazis killed by the Red Army during World War II in their victims of communism body count.
This is true, chat. This is true. Whenever somebody brings up the victims of communism, they are including Nazi deaths. And on top of that, they are also including all potential births that would have happened in the future based on some bullshit formula of the people that died during famines. They're including that shit as well. Now, my country's been part of a communist country. Nobody was really poor. Yeah. Your basic necessities were taken care of.
In contrast,
and like when everybody says, "Oh my God, there's bread lines in the thing," isn't it better to have bread lines than to have nothing? Wouldn't it be better to have bread lines and give bread to people than to have no bread line and people fucking starve?
the tangible improvements brought about by leftist revolutions cannot be ignored. In the Soviet Union,
The only problem was that party leaders kind of abused power, as far as I know. Yeah, that happens. That's like people saying, "Oh, fucking unions are bad because there's corruption." Yeah, but the overall benefit of unions outweigh the corruption. Like, you're supposed to build structures of your governments where you hold people accountable. I'm not saying bad. No, I understand that. I was just bringing it up as an example. You just did the ad break, but when you said that's like, I looked at the clock. Fucking kick him. I have you. Oh, I have you Pavloved so bad. I have you Pavloved so bad.
Cuba, and China, literacy rates
It's insane how Pavlov we've become. Yeah, I fucking love it.
doubled, life expectancy rose dramatically, urbanization and industrialization surged, and infant mortality plummeted. These achievements outpaced progress in the capitalist West, which took centuries to reach the same milestones. If famines under communism are to be criticized, then the systematic poverty, starvation, and neglect perpetuated under capitalism, particularly in Africa and the global South, must also be criticized. The resources exist to eradicate extreme poverty worldwide, but under capitalism, the profit motive is more important over human welfare. Communist China, for instance, has not only eliminated abject poverty, but is bringing the global South with it through its Belt and Road Initiative. Meanwhile, capitalist countries are controlled by oligarchs and face rising poverty rates and rapidly declining living standards. Blaming communism for starvation and suffering ignores the mass suffering under feudalism, monarchy, and capitalism, which is never examined. If you take left-wing ideology to its extreme, it means doing the best for the majority of the underprivileged by any means necessary. The bad things that happen are in the context of implementing a noble aspiration of a just and equal society. Taking the right to the extreme always results in the subjugation, othering, and usually destruction of whole populations of people. Maybe you're off-put by extremism in general and think of yourself more as a moderate. You want to pick a side and fall somewhere in the middle. I think it's better to choose the side that's end aspiration is a classless, stateless utopia, compared to an ethnically homogenous, divided world amongst nation-states built on hierarchies. Taking baseline conservative views and extending them must lead to an outgroup, a scapegoat, and inferior. How far you go on the right spectrum is the degree of intensity in which you hate or attack a certain group, starting at personal bias and bigotry as a moderate to death and extermination at its furthest. Meanwhile, your targets on the left are not everyday people, it's the small populations of oligarchs or fascists. Their removal also isn't necessarily death, as many on the left believe in rehabilitation and re-education.
We had a communist country here called Yugoslavia. There's split opinions on it, but during the duration, it even sold cars to America. But some people claim country kind of relied on debt a lot. Some say it was better. I don't know. When leader died in 1990, wars started. Country split into previous sovereign countries. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with the history of Yugoslavia, but it's a example that people use all the time. And I think, if I remember correctly, there was mismanagement within Yugoslavia as well. I probably have to do a deep dive into Yugoslavia. But like, Yugoslavia also was pressured by every European country and the United States itself with sanctions and everything like that. So like every left-wing country that has ever existed within the world has had the United States with their thumb on the scale to try to make sure that it falls apart. It's usually like that in the Balkan region. Yeah.
Education. When communism took over in China in
Geographically, we're repressed. Yeah, because like Balkans are seen as like lower class, just like Slavs are seen as lower class, which Ukrainians are seen as Slavs. Like back in the day, Benjamin Franklin saw German people as swarthy. Although they made some sick memorial art in Yugoslavia, yeah, leftist propaganda art is sick though.
1949, the last emperor of China from its dynasty-based government system was still in the country. Instead of killing him, Mao just educated him on communism and gave him a normal-ass job. You should never feel threatened by a far-left person. Unless you are an open racist or Nazi, which I hope you shouldn't feel concerned for, then you are within the 99% of people who are not a target.
Yep.
In personal relationships, it should be universally clear which side of the spectrum's extremists you would rather deal with. For one, leftists seldomly commit acts of terrorism. When they do violent acts, it's often targeted at corporations or government infrastructure, like vandalizing weapon plants, sending arms to apartheid states. They never intentionally target innocent civilians. Far-right people are jaded, antisocial, violent, openly misogynistic, and racist. They are insecure and full of hatred. They are inherently dangerous and nihilistic. Identity politics and left messaging can be cringe and annoying, but like, what's worse? There's a good Stavros joke about this that I can't remember exactly, but
Oh, is this a Stavi joke? Is this a Stavi joke that Keko talked about? I think in Yugoslavia, people had a problem with Serbia part being treated the best, and it was the center. I'm too young and uneducated to tell you exactly about it. But yeah, Prodigy son, my roommate in grad school was Bosnian, and having conversations with him about that time, because he was a refugee from that war with his parents. He said the United States was on the wrong side of it. That was kind of my breaking glass moment to be like, oh, maybe the United States wasn't that great. And that was kind of the start of coming down the road that I'm currently on. I had a Bosnian friend growing up too.
It goes something like, the left extremist person at worst might look strange to you, have a weird hair color, and be annoying. At least they want what's best for you, and they're definitely not going to hurt you. I'll take that any day of the week over some guy with an AR-15. The nature of the human condition is cooperation and progress, not division and hierarchies created on a superficial basis. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments, whether you agree or disagree. Please check out my last video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Yeah. So I've been wanting to watch that video, and I think it's very good. I think it's very well done. And basically plugs every potential hole that people would try to plug into it. American part of NATO bombed Serbia with depleted uranium, which is against their policy. Now, should they have done the bombing? There's split opinion on that too. No, you should never fucking use nuclear weapons. Most people's sentiment is a fucking course no. Let's react to Sam Cedar debate again. No, Keko. Fuck you. You're a fucking piece of shit, Keko. I literally was gonna fly this morning, but I didn't fly this morning because I had to fucking stay up. I missed flying this morning because of you. I can never know what's true. I mean, you can. Like, there's you didn't have to, you chose to. That's fucking bullshit, Keko. You know it. I missed the second half. Can we just watch that a bit? Hey. There's the VOD. If you really want to watch it again, watch me react to it again, watch it on the VOD. Depleted uranium isn't nuke, though. It's toxic. Kind of, they said it cut fertility in 50% in the capital. Yeah, it's still not fucking okay. Like, it's still fucked. It's absolutely fucked. Like, that's war crimes. Those are war crimes. Obviously, it's bad. In this community, we say the nuclear bombing of Japan were also war crimes. I mean, talking with people, everyone has different information. Yeah, I mean, we've talked how there's pouring of disinformation everywhere, but there are historians that it's their job to find out what the truth is and write books on what the truth is. There are, like, Howard Zinn. For those don't know who Howard Zinn is, he was an American soldier that became an historian, and his radicalizing moment was when they bombed Dresden. For those that don't know, what the Americans did when they bombed Dresden is they bombed German civilians. That was Howard Zinn's moment of radicalization. Like, we can't be doing this shit. War crimes for sure by NATO's own standards? Yes. Yes. War crimes are only prosecuted on people that are part of the global south or that are part of the people that NATO sees as their enemies, such as African war leaders or Putin or something like that. So when Bibi Netanyahu was charged with war crimes, that was an enormous deal. I think October 7th was the last straw for me. I know October 7th was the last straw for me. Keko, you were on your way there. But October 7th was probably the turning point for you. My turning point was Uvalde. Yeah, Uvalde was mine. But anyway, chat, I'm gonna call it tonight. I'm not super tired, but I'm like tired enough. And I just kind of want to chill out for the night. I actually kind of didn't want to stream tonight, but I know I'm not going to be able to stream on Saturday. So I wanted to make sure I went live. Oh, I ended up getting geothermal Jenny's. Nice, Bite Sync. Congratulations. That's awesome for you. I'm happy for you. You're progressing nicely now, Bite Sync. Go watch Andor and have a safe flight tomorrow. Thanks. If I wake up for the flight tomorrow. I might get a haircut tomorrow. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'm behind on Hassan's stream. Maybe I won't watch Andor. I don't know. We'll see. But I gotta send you all somewhere. Where should I send you all? Where should I send you all? Should I send you to Abby or Michelle? Theo, Cinemarxism, I don't want to send you all to Michelle. I feel like I haven't rated Michelle in a few weeks, and she's live, so I'm gonna send you all over there. Michelle, she rated me last week. Yeah, she's awesome. She's so sweet. She's continuing her Kingdom Hearts trek. Also, I can't make it tomorrow. Shooting our largest event of the year tomorrow and Sunday. Okay, no problem. I haven't heard anything from anybody else, so I was just going to play games until people popped in. Because I should be able to go live at my normal time. But Keko, if you want to pop in at any point while we're playing, you can. All right, chat. Here are the raid messages. First raid messages are for those that are not subbed. Next, two raid messages are those that are subbed. But thank you all so much for being here. It's fun doing React content. I know it wasn't as exciting as yesterday's React content, but I thought it was important to talk about May Day and the events that occurred to create this holiday for working class people around the world. But thank you all so much for being here. I greatly appreciate it. So with that being said, wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good night. See y'all later. Free Palestine.